She's away today.
Huh?
She's posting herself.
Yeah, she's not. Okay. Good morning, honorable members. Good morning to you all. Let me extend greetings to the senior counsel and his team, Lieutenant General Mkwanazi. Good morning. Thank you so much for your presence. The staff of Parliament and the committee secretariat in particular, members of the media, good morning and welcome. I hope that you have rested. We worked until very late last night, but here we are again today to resume proceedings. It's a day in which members are going to be given an opportunity to ask questions to General Mkwanazi. But last night, when we concluded our meeting, we said that we will get a report from the Democratic Alliance on what is their take on the matter which was discussed here. Do you have any report, Honorable Cameron?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good morning. Chair, in short, the Honourable Kola Barnard is not in attendance today. She'll be following virtually, and no one is being recused yet or planning to be recused. We have asked for a legal opinion on the matter, and we will give the relevant feedback. We have decided that the Honourable Kola Barnard will not be in physical attendance today to allow the committee to do what they need to do and to continue with their work. Thank you, Chair.
Did you bring a member?
I've got the Honourable Schikkeling right next to me, Chair.
Is she the alternate of the alternate? Or?
No, she is alternate, Chair, and she will be in the place of the Honourable Kola Barnard today.
Okay. Honourable members, I think what we should do here is that. Okay, Honourable Cameron.
Sorry, Chair, I slipped. She's in the place of the Honourable Breitenbach. The Honourable Kola Barnard is an alternate. She is already an alternate. Yeah. So the Honourable Schikkeling will remain in the place of the Honourable Breitenbach.
Yeah, we are not going to take the time of the committee and use it to discuss that matter because the member is not here. Let's do the business. Our business is not Honourable Kola Barnard. Our business is to investigate the allegations that have been made. And because today she is not here, we can't discuss that matter now. We should just go straight into our proceedings. But I'm going to request members to read section 165 of the rules so that when we come to discuss that matter, all of us have gone through section 165 and we know what the provisions of that section are, because the provisions of that section will help us to deal with this matter. Thanks very much. This is how we're going to proceed today. I have met with all of you this morning to inform you how we are going to proceed in line with how we agreed last night. Okay, maybe let me just do the roll call. Honorable Sangoni, are you present? Honorable Ntuli, Honorable Ngola, Honorable Sokhanyile, Honorable Nomvalo, Honorable Skosana, Honorable Shongwe, Honorable Cameron, Honorable Shikele, Honorable Mwango, Honorable Malema, Honorable N. Mattheys, Honorable Sols, Honorable Vessels, Honorable James. Thank you so much. We are all present. This is what we are going to do. The apology of Honorable Brayden Buxton's, the JSC is still busy with its sessions. We are going to allocate the ANC, Honorable Sangon, 1 hour plus 10 minutes. The MKP, 30 minutes plus 10. The DA, 30 minutes plus 10. And the EFF, 30 minutes plus 10. The IFP, 30 minutes. And the PA, 30 minutes. The Freedom Front Plus, 10 minutes. And the Action SA, 10 minutes. So, in your case, MKP and the EFF, the 30 minutes are allocated to you because you are going to have one speaker plus one alternate. The EFF as well will have one speaker plus one alternate. But in the event you want to share the 30 minutes plus 10 amongst yourself and the alternate, you can still speak the three of you, Honorable Skosana, Honorable Nomvalo, Honorable Shongwe, but you will be limited within 40 minutes. It's 30 minutes for the full member and 10 minutes for the alternate. The full member of the EFF is Honorable Malema. In the event he uses 25 minutes of his 30, Honorable Mattheys can use the remaining 15 minutes. That is how the allocation is done. And the alternates for the IFP and the PA are Honorable Vessels and Honorable James respectively. So in the event either Honorable Mwango or Honorable Sols are unable to exhaust their 30 minutes, the remainder of the time allocated will fall to those alternates. Is it very clear, honorable members? And then from there, when we are done with this first round, we will then come back to the second round where we will take the last member of the ANC, MKP, and DA, and then we round off. So, so the time that is allocated to yourselves does not include the response time which the witness will be using. I see your hand is up, Honorable Sangwe.
Yes, Chair. Thank you so much. Good morning to you, Chairperson, and good morning to all members, the General and everybody in the room. Chair, I just wanted clarity on ANC time. So we have 4 members, which means that we have 2 hours plus 10 minutes, not 1 hour and 10 minutes. In the first round, it can be 1 hour in the second round. So I just wanted clarity on that. And then, Chairperson, you also then indicated that the time does not include the responses. In the committee, the agreement was that that time includes the responses. Because I mean, if we literally have 30 minutes to ask a question, we are never going to finish. Our understanding was that it includes the responses and we would have planned accordingly. My final point, Chair, is in terms of allocation of our time, can we leave it to the discretion of the party how we allocate our time, having appreciated what you said of 2 rounds and the total amount of time being 2 hours, 10 minutes? Thank you, Chair.
That is what I'm saying to you. Let me clarify it, honorable members. I said that for the first round, you are going to have two speakers. So it means in your case, you will have 2 plus 1. And I don't have a problem with how you allocate your time. It's 1 hour, 10 minutes. And then you use it the way you want to use it. But once it peters out, I'm going to stop you. And then you are right. The ANC has 4 members in this. You have 4 plus 1. So the misfortune of the ANC is that the 4th member of the ANC is the chair of these proceedings. So the chair has a discretion to ask questions. And being a disciplined chair, if I ask questions, I won't go beyond the 30 minutes that we allocate for members. I can't abuse my position as the chair, but remember, I have that right as a member of the committee to participate and ask questions, but it must be within our agreements or the decisions that we would have taken. Honorable Nomval.
I was looking for the mic and I couldn't find it. There are supernatural powers. Chair, no, I don't remember us as the committee making an agreement that the 30 minutes will also include responses. I'm sure all of us noticed yesterday. And even if we had taken that agreement, it was not going to be ideal under the circumstances, considering how broad our first...
I don't want us to waste time, honorable member. I think it's what the chair said yesterday. I even gave an example to say, if you ask a question and the witness takes 29 minutes of the time responding to your question, it means the member is put at a disadvantage.
That's
and
correct.
It defeats the purpose of the ad hoc committee. So
if we agree, Chair, then that's okay.
Yeah. Honorable Malim.
Thanks, Chair. I hear people talking about second round. Some of us minimum is 3, so I don't understand. But we'll accept whatever you're saying on the rounds of second and third. But we normally do 3 rounds, natural. So, Chair, so I wanted you to understand, you are going to start the questions.
Yeah.
Because you have to start and then hand it over to us.
Yeah.
I just wanted to understand that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like now, what I want to check with yourselves, is there anybody who We're on the first round. Is there anybody who wishes to start, or any party that wishes to start with its 30 minutes plus 1 or 1 hour? I mean 30 minutes plus 10 or okay, I see the MKP and the ANC. So let me follow the rotation system then. I'm handing over to yourselves, the African National Congress. Can you indicate how many from your party are going to ask?
On the first round, Chair,
Yeah.
are going to be 2.
1 hour plus 10 minutes.
Are going to be 2, Chair.
Okay, thank you so much. It's over to you.
Thank you very much,
And then
Chair.
your time starts now.
Thank you very much,
Okay, on a point of order.
the procedural matter.
Procedural.
Yeah.
I thought procedurally, like I said, you will have to start. So that as a chair, you lay the foundation. And then when we come, we know how to conduct ourselves. So it's the SC. Once the SC is done, then the chair comes in. Then you lay a foundation. That's the purpose of being a chair. Then all of us are going to follow that cue. And it doesn't mean you chose that you will not speak for more than 30 minutes. That's fine.
Yeah.
But even if you decide to speak more than that, you are the chair. You use that discretion. But if something else is being suggested, it's like I once said in a political party meeting where a president suggested that members of the NEC must give a political overview. How can you do that? So as a chair, you give direction, the style of questioning, how we conduct it, and we learn from you and we follow exactly what you have done. That's what being a chair means. So normally it goes to the leader of evidence. Once it's done, it goes to the chair, then chair takes it to the members. But if it's different, I don't know.
Chief Whip.
No, morning, Chair, morning to all colleagues and general and all participants and attendees to this meeting. No, Chair, I don't think that there is a binding procedure like that, where you have to be the first person to ask questions. You are the chair of the committee. And part of your responsibility, which is what Honorable Malema says you must exercise, cannot be constrained by the fact that you did not start, which is to guide us to discharge our own responsibilities in a way that is consistent with the terms of references of this committee and in line with our mandate as members of parliament. The justification that Honorable Malema is making to qualify his argument that you must be the first among equals, I think that intervention he says you have to do is not difficult to do it, even if you are not the first person to start asking questions. So I want to suggest that we allow members to ask questions. And if in your own opinion, Chair, along the way, you also want to make use of the time allocated to you, you should be perfectly clear to do so. But I don't think the condition that is being set would be difficult to fulfill if you are not the first one to ask questions. Thanks.
Oh, okay, can I check if there are members who want to speak on this matter?
No, I withdraw, Chair. I was giving you an opportunity to set the tone. But if you don't come from COSAS, you wouldn't understand what is set in the tone. Thanks.
No. Honorable members, what we should do, let's allow the chair to use his discretion. I'm your chairperson. At any stage during the proceedings, I should be able to participate. And so what we should do now is to allow the parties and the members to fill their questions. Honorable James, your hand is still up.
Thank you so much, Chair. Chair, just a clarity seeking question from my side in terms of the format of which we'll be posing these questions. Will it be questions and then answered immediately after, or will you cluster it?
Yeah,
Will it be question and answer question, or will we ask all our questions and then the general will answer it?
let's take the questions two so that there is no lapse in concentration. Like we normally rotate items in our meeting. You fill 2 questions, you wait for response, fill 2 until your list is exhausted. Okay. Honorable Ngola from the ANC is yourself and Honorable Sokanyila. Okay, thank you so much. May you kindly speak, Honorable Member.
Good morning, Chair. Thank you very, very much. I just wanted to find out because yesterday we had 2 colleagues of our SC. The other one was released to go and consult with General Sibiya. Today I'm seeing there's 2 new members. Now, I'm not sure, what is the modus operandi? Maybe tomorrow again, there'll be another 2, the next day, another 2, the next day, another 2. So I just wanted clarity on that. Thank you.
No, my apologies, Honorable Member. The Senior Counsel has spoken to me about the matter. The lady that you see sitting next to the Senior Counsel is part of Parliament staff because the 2 juniors or core evidence leaders who work with Advocate Arendse are concluding that part which was supposed to have concluded yesterday with General Sibiya, but also to make sure that when we come here tomorrow, we do not have the same hiccups like we had yesterday. Is that acceptable to members? I want to apologize that I did not bring that to your attention. Thank you. Honorable Ngola, are you able to start? Are you ready?
Yes, Chair, if not interrupted again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning to members. Good morning to the evidence leaders, General Mkwanazi, and the people of South Africa. Chair, I want to first implore you to expedite the interactions with the chairperson of the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence. I think the last time you reported that there must be a follow-up with them. I'm imploring you, Chair, on this matter because the General would have also mentioned some intelligence-related matters, that which include the COVID and secret fund account, that which include some walls being built, and there's an issue of the questions that were deferred to the JSCI. So we may actually be willing to understand if the JSCI has attended to those matters that were formal questions to Parliament by Honorable Kolapanat. So I think we'll be able to get to the bottom of that. General, good morning, and I will want to implore you again as well that where the question requires specific names, if they are known to you, please don't hesitate to tell us the names of those that may have been allegedly involved in the alleged criminal syndicate. General, you say on the 31st of December 2024, whilst you're busy preparing for the new year, the minister writes a letter a national directive with the intention of de-establishing the political killings trust. So I want to check if the directive was it wholly unlawful, or there were parts of the directive that were actually within the powers of the minister in terms of section 207, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa.
Honorable Chair, honorable members, good morning. Honorable members, I will not say that the minister's directive was unlawful, because yourself as members of parliament have never passed a legislation that makes a letter of that nature to be unlawful. Therefore, I don't think a person can be taken to court as a result. However, I feel that the content of the letter, it's an indication that the ministers was basically exercising powers that are not necessarily deferred to him, which was bordering into the operational part of policing. But why do I say that? Is that if you look at the 3 items that the letter is addressing, one item talks about discussions that must be held surrounding the borders. I think that is more relevant to the minister. It's a strategic thing that the minister must engage with executive to understand what's happening with the border security. So that one for me, I'll give it to the minister. But the one that directs that there must be an immediate freezing or filling of post, I feel is not within the authority of the minister, although the regulations have been amended, which allows the minister to have a say in terms of appointment of senior officers in the police. But it only limits the minister to that any appointment will be done by the National Commissioner in consultation with. It does not necessarily give the powers to the minister to appoint in those positions of crime intelligence. I think the Act only allows the minister to appoint in the post of DPCI only. That's the only authority the minister has. So in filling those vacancies or suspension of those vacancies, I feel the minister might have exercised the powers that he really doesn't have. But of it being illegal in terms of the law, I'm not sure. I don't think it will be justified as that. The last part of the immediate suspension of or disestablishment of the team, as the minister's words on the letter, again, I cannot say immediately that such a directive will be illegal. However, the consequence as a result of that becomes a criminal matter. Because when you disestablish something and that is busy with a criminal investigation, you are not replacing it with anything. So we are in short saying that the investigation must stop. So that therefore it's breaking the law. So while the letter contains all the 3 subjects, the last one that talks about the disestablishment of the team without giving reasons, without explaining what happens to the investigation, that for me is the one that could be regarded as breaking the law. So in short, in summary, I will say then the letter does break the law, although not the entire content of it.
So it is the evidence of the general that the letter itself contains both operational issues and policy-related issues.
That is correct.
Thank you very much, General. You indicate that in the letter that which was returned to the National Commissioner, there was a back and forth of the letter by someone else who presumable or allegedly it may not be part of the police service in South Africa. Is it in the knowledge now at this stage of the general of who might be this person who has influenced the writing of the letter or the directive? Who may be the actual drafter? Is it in your knowledge at this particular stage, General?
No, Honorable Chair members, I do not know yet as I had said earlier yesterday that I've registered a complaint and there's a criminal investigation. I'm told that the criminal investigation is in advanced stage and the part of what they're investigating is exactly that, checking the communication between the minister and the chief of staff through WhatsApps, through emails, through everything to trace that letter. Where did it originate from? So I guess that matter will be ventilated in court. I don't have the details now.
Thank you, General. Without ventilating into the merits of that investigation, does the General think that this might be a person very close or linked to the Minister of Police?
I would like to believe that it is a person linked with the Minister of Police. And the matter of fact, it is my belief that it is a person within the South African Police Service.
Thank you, General. In the WhatsApp messages that some of them have been part of the attachments here in the volumes of the documentation that was given to us, you mentioned that you have written a WhatsApp text to the Minister of Police, humbly requesting that a meeting be facilitated with the National Commissioner and other top brass of the police service. But part of what is contained in the message that you sent to the minister is that, can there be an invitation, can the invitation be extended to Mr. Brown Mohotsi, who is not part of the police service? Why did you think that there is a necessity for an involvement of the person who's not part of the police service in such kind of meetings? Boss, we understand that you may have wanted something to be resolved.
Yeah, the honorable members, the reason why I propose those names is because of the role that those people were playing in influencing the trajectory or how the organization is managed by the minister going forward. So after having learned that Mr. Mohotsi is close to the minister by the chief of staff, after having heard the minister himself said that Mr. Mohotsi is his comrade. So understanding that as a minister, you are executive authority that come from a political party. So perhaps it is that political party through that comrade that gives you this advice politically of how you must manage organization. And the worry was the continuation of this individual, Brown Mohotsi, having access to sensitive material of the police and the impact of that in terms of the minister's role as executive authority is what I wanted to bring to the attention of the minister. And so that the minister is aware of the implications of allowing Mohotsi to do that and what is the consequence as a result that's going to come after that. Same with inviting General Khan. I specifically picked up General Khan amongst everyone else because it is Mohotsi that brought Khan into my picture. And it is General Khan that almost everything bad happening at crime intelligence seems to center around. But I know his role in the political space where he interacts with the politicians. And I wanted all those things to be discussed so that the minister understands that the Police Act has got limitations of what police officers must do in terms of the political space. And if a police officer is invited to play this active role in the political space, what consequences are going to come as a result? So that's why I identified these individuals, not to say, honorable chair and members, that if there was any criminal incident that has happened or the criminal involvement or act by these individuals, that such will not be pursued. It was going to be pursued. But what I felt was important at the time was to prevent the further damage that was caused in the organization by the roles that these people are playing and how the minister eventually takes decision being influenced by these individuals. So that was a main reason I wanted to have all of them under one roof.
Okay, in one of the trail of WhatsApp messages, you do make an indication that this directive affect me and my family. Are you safe? Is your family threatened and your loved ones are they? Do you feel that there is enough protection in terms of the fracas that is going on in the country?
Honorable Chair and members, the safety of my family is a responsibility of police officers around the country. I said in the public before that I've got family members in majority of these provinces of South Africa. And to guarantee their safety, it's up to the men and women in blue out there to provide security. I don't have money, Honorable Chair and members, to hire bodyguards for my family members. It's impossible. I cannot do that. So their safety can only be guaranteed by men and women in blue that are out there that's supposed to be protect everyone else. So I might believe that their safety is equal to the safety of every citizen. Their vulnerability in terms of crime applies to the rest of the citizens of this country. So they are not different to anyone else. There's no special provisions for them, and I cannot guarantee whether they are safe or not safe. They are immediate family members to me. They are extended family members on me, and then there are other people that we became close to over time that are all over. So I cannot give a 100% guarantee about their safety. It is what I'm trying to fight for, that the South African Police Service must be allowed to make sure that we protect the citizens, including my family members.
In general, let's move to IDEC prosecution, judiciary, and correctional services. And I will plead with you once more that where a necessity arises for you to mention a particular name, please feel free to do that. You say IDEC, the Investigative Directorate Against Corruption, is divided into two sections. And you refer to one of the sections as a rogue section. Maybe if you can take the committee through, how did you arrive at the conclusion that IDEC is divided at two? And who are the prominent members of this rogue section in IDEC? And Chair, I'm also asking this because I'm Chair of Justice, so it's very important for our work as well.
Honorable Chair and members, the entity within the NPA that is responsible for investigating corruption in the country, which was recently established, I say this divided into two sections. I made an example yesterday and I invited the members to do the profile of an arresting officer of the members of crime intelligence. You're going to know that he's an ex-crime intelligence member. And when you look at what IDEC is supposed to deal with, then you ask yourself whether does this investigating officer, Mr. Padayache, fits the profile of being appointed at IDEC to first place. Whether does he have qualifications, skills, and everything to do with investigation to deal with such sensitive cases that the legislature was intended to be done by IDEC. That's a point of departure that you're going to see that is people that will just move. That's the first thing. Secondly, you look at the number of cases that are within IPIT, or they were within IPIT when Mr. Sesoko was still the boss, head of investigation at IPIT. And how many of those case dockets were moved from IPIT to IDEC? And what was the reason for such movement? And that's another reason why I'm saying that. And thirdly, you look at just a profile of all the cases IDEC is dealing with, and you take that entire caseload, you compare with the establishment of IDEC, and you see whether a typical example of the arrest of an appointment of an officials within crime intelligence of who's going to earn a salary over a period of 12 months of just over R1 million, does it meet the requirements of what IDEC was established for? For IDEC to travel from Pretoria, coming here and take a statement from the complainant, the member of parliament, is that what the legislature was intending to do with IDEC? Or has IDEC lost the plot? So those are the typical examples that I'm putting there. The other members within the very same section of IDEC I'm talking about might have found themselves there because they're looking for jobs. But we are here today because some of those members do not like what's happening. They themselves, they are there, they see the wrong. They are doing because they're employed, but at least they get to share this information. Hence, we are here today. We are privileged that there might be members within the very bad section of IDEC, but they are good in their heart because they are able to share this information with us. They are there, they can see what is wrong, and I cannot expose them now and say so and so and so and so. So while the section is a bad section, but not everyone in that section is bad. There are members within the very same section that are good at heart. They just don't like what's happening, and I cannot give their names, unfortunately. I want to isolate that one, Mr. Padaj.
So is it the evidence of the general that Mr. Padiak is possible the center of the rock section at IDEC?
I will argue that he's not.
Okay.
He's an enabler. He's a pawn in the game.
Okay.
He's the one that's been used. You know, as when you in your house, you're going to have the small dog that is very sensitive to noise, is going to bark, and then you have the real big dog that will tackle an enemy. So that's what Padache is.
And I hope that
he's a runner.
I hope that the general is not saying Padiake is a dog. Eh?
No. I did not say he's a dog. I said he's a pawn in the whole scheme of things. He's the one that is more the runner. He's the one that goes to the Inspector of Intelligence to negotiate things. He's the one that goes to court and demand cause. He's the one that the magistrate, in the bail condition of the members of crime intelligence, the magistrate give Padache an authority to access crime intelligence. If these members want anything at crime intelligence, they must get it from Padache. So Padache, being an ex-crime intelligence member, is given a carte blanche to enter from point A to point B of the Office of Crime Intelligence by the court of this country.
Okay. Let's go to the arrest of General.
Honorable Nola, before we proceed, can we just confirm to the members that the statement that the general made was metaphoric? Can we get that confirmation? Look, yeah, what he says is that when you have a small dog and a big dog in the house, and the understanding must be that it is a metaphor. Is that so, General?
That's why I use the word, for example, when I started. So
that we must not live here with that impression. I know you said it, that he does not mean that so-and-so is a dog. And it must be clarified for everybody's understanding that this phrase or this statement is metaphorical. We have a common understanding, all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. No, the general understands that it was on a lighter note. Let's take it to, yesterday you took us through the processes that led to the arrest of General Khumalo. And you said the arrest of Khumalo is a project to stop criminal investigations in Gauteng province. Can you give the committee and the people of South Africa the nature of this project and who possible names that are at the center or are leading this project or are part of this project?
Honorable Chair and members, I did indicate yesterday that it's a sensitive project that is within the intelligence. Okay. I cannot elaborate much on what's happening. Safe to say that it being regarded as Gauteng counterintelligence operation, it will involve the intelligence community of the country. Therefore, the although there is an investigation, criminal investigation that end up in court, but in terms of the extent of the risk that the investigation is involved with, and the targets that have been identified through that investigation, I'm not in a liberty to talk about it because one, I'm not necessarily part of it. I got to know about it by default because of the counter that has been happening in order to stop that investigation. So that's why I became aware, but I'm not in a liberty to talk about it in this platform. Honorable Chair and members, it's going to be important to understand that I said earlier that General Khumalo and the team are facing attacks on two sides. One attack is in relation to the investigation that's happening in Gauteng, which is mainly drugs that are operating. And that affects the people that are closer to the senior investigators in the South African Police Service, because when cases are open, they expect police officers to take those cases and make sure that they are not investigated further. That is on one side. And on the other side, which I think is more critical one, is that the arrest is affected because of the fight back by members within crime intelligence who are against the reforms that are introduced at crime intelligence. So they want to take control of a crime intelligence. So it's in those two bases that you're having criminal issues on one side in Johannesburg, but you also have crime intelligence fight for these members to have control over these resources. That's what, in the main, I believe, that leads into this arrest. That's why you're going to see the court coming up with a court order that says you are accused of having been part of the panel to appoint one person who applied for the post in the police. You facilitated that appointment, which you didn't necessarily appoint yourself. You were just facilitating on behalf of the National Commissioner, and you made recommendations, but you get arrested for that, for being part of facilitation of that process. And then the court makes a court order that says, we are accused of having done this wrong. The state is accusing you for this. And this incident happened at this particular address in Pretoria. But the magistrate rules that you are prohibited from entering any crime intelligence offices anywhere else in the Republic of South Africa. So even if there was a crime intelligence office here in Cape Town, they are not supposed to enter the premises. So when you ask yourself, what is the relevance of not entering an office of crime intelligence in Cape Town versus you being accused of being part of the panel to appoint someone in Pretoria? You just doesn't make sense. I'm not a legal expert, but the common sense tells you that there's more into this than what we hear. Someone is going to accuse me and say, the matters are in court, you can't talk about it. But the truth be told, we all human beings. We all got weaknesses as human beings. One way or another, you become weak on something for whatever reason. So I believe in this case, that bail condition that was granted was not coincidental, was not just a mistake, it was a calculated move.
Thank you, General. Chair, I think the issue relating to the project on General Khumalo and the disruptions of the reforms in crime intelligence, we can leave them for now. I'm judging from how the General is answering. Can leave them for now for that later maybe in camera a meeting. General, you since the 6th of July 2025, you kept on using criminal syndicates, drug cartels interchangeable. And later when you went to testify even in the commission, you spoke about a big five. Do you perhaps feel comfortable to share who are these big five that you keep on referring to? I don't want us to use code names, if it's possible that you can share with us and the people of South Africa that who are these who are these people who are part of the big five who are actually running drug cartels in the country and possibly controlling some of the institutions of government.
Honorable Chair and members, I'm not sure whether the members have the statement that should have annexed on this statement, which is a statement that I presented before the Madlanga Commission. If I were to invite the members, maybe I think it's attached NSM3, if I'm not mistaken.
Which volume, General?
I'm trying to figure out now these volumes myself. Just give me a second, Honorable Chair.
They say it's volume 3. So it's NSM what? Did you get the page?
It should be on my. Okay, I wanted to invite the members on that volume 1, NMS3, to open page 83. Page 83. So in paragraph 275.
Okay, you can proceed, General.
Okay, honorable members, Chair, to answer the question of the honorable member, I think it's important to look at that sketch that we put in the statement. You are asking who are these big fives? We can only talk about the big five of those that are already arrested and they are in court. Those that have not been arrested, unfortunately, we're not in a liberty to talk about them. You will see that the big five on this graph are those that are marked with red on that picture on the left. So that whole group, the only names that we are making it visible here are the 2 names. And that's a name of a Vusmus Matlala, who's known as Cat, as well as Katiso Molefe. Both individuals have been to court, and I think you are privy to the court processes related to their cases. We have the other 3 that we did not reflect here. They are known. Their names are known. I must say, Honorable Chair and members, these are tenderpreneurs. These are the people that the government has been awarding tenders to. They are quite big financially. They are part of this whole lot. We did not put their names because we did not want to implicate people before they appear before court, except the others. The place that we feel comfortable to talk about it, we name the names, and the others that we're not comfortable with, we did not put the names.
That's fine, General. That's accepted. You say there is an involvement of the judiciary in all this fracas. But in that process, you mention only one fellow magistrate, Mahlangu. Are there any other magistrates or judges? Because when you say the judiciary, we include the 2. Any other magistrates or judges that are suspected to be aiding this alleged criminal syndicate? And in respect of Magistrate Mahlangu, what is her links in the entire syndicate?
Honorable members, again, I don't want to go deeper into the status of the investigation, who's who in this whole puzzle. Therefore, I'm not even talking about the names of people that are part of the criminal activities. I said when I addressed that they are presiding officers, which are members of the judiciary, that are participating in these illegal activities. And it's not one and not two. And I confine myself to this criminal investigation. That's why I made a reference to those that are in Gauteng province. So I'm not going to call them by names. The magistrate that you are talking about, although I did not call him by name, I mentioned the magistrate because he's presiding over the matter that is in court already, has got to do with the arrest of these members and the bail condition that was granted. So it's that which I'm only highlighting, that you have a magistrate that sits and listens to what the state is asking for, and then the magistrate comes up with his own rules, his own rulings, contrary to what the state has asked for, and more stringent things. Then you ask yourself a question: but why? Why do you have to go to this extent, magistrate? And these are the questions that, when things like this happen, it makes us to go deeper to try and establish exactly what then is the role of this individual in this whole investigation that you are busy with. So I have not called his name, and I have not called any presiding officer's name. And those details will be made visible by the team if they're so willing, but it cannot be done in the open meeting.
Thank you, General. I think we'll skip to the next three questions because they are related to what the General is talking about, an ongoing investigation. So as it relates to the judiciary and the link to the crime syndicate, we'll just skip it. Maybe we'll deal with it when time allows. Let's go back to, you say there is a prosecutor who has submitted an application for a warrant of arrest to a magistrate for it to be signed, but later called that warrant must be withdrawn because he or she does not want to lose her job. Do you mind sharing with the committee and the people of South Africa, who is this prosecutor? From whom did they get this call? Who apparently is this powerful person who might be aiding some of the wrong things within the criminal justice system? And you'll forgive me, General. I said that some of the questions I'm asking because I'm the chair of justice. So they are part of the mandate that we've been given.
Yeah, I'm going to invite Honorable Chair. There are quite a lot of information that might need to be revealed by the team that is busy with investigation that experienced that, because I received the report. I said on my statement when I started that the information I'm presenting before the ad hoc committee is information that I saw on my own eyes, information that I was authorized to have access to, and information that was shared to me by my colleagues as they are working. So some of the things I might not necessarily give it to you in black and white, for instance, to give you the name of the magistrate, but I'm confident that those members whom their names I can give you, that were involved, they can come before this committee, and I will request that it can be done in a closed meeting where they can tell you exactly who the magistrate are, because those are the members that are from counterintelligence. So I wouldn't want them to be then coming before cameras here and exposing themselves as coming from counterintelligence, because their lives will be in danger. But they will come and give you a own statement about what transpired on the day. And subsequent to that, what then was the intervention that was done with the National Director of Public Prosecution? And subsequent to that, what happened? Who are the advocates who are part of that meeting? And what was the discussion in that meeting? And how was it resolved?
Okay. On the 6th of July, in the press briefing, which is annexed here as SM3 in the NSM3 in the annexures, the statement of the 6th of July. You kept on mentioning correctional services, but as time goes, you don't go deeper as it relates to who are these officials within correctional services, and what is their link and their role in aiding the operations of the crime syndicate?
Honorable members, as part of the investigation, without putting people's names, I made an example of, and which is a public knowledge that you all know about. The Minister of Correctional Service, the National Commission of Correctional Service, they always conduct raids at correctional facilities. And when they do those raids, they always come up with illicit goods that are not supposed to be in there. We are still trying to figure out how does Thabo Bester get out of prison and he'll end up in a foreign country. This is a typical example of how bad the system is within the correctional service. We've got a lot of examples on how crime is organized behind bars, how people get killed by people that are behind bars, that get released to go out and murder someone and come back into a correctional facility. So what we cited as an example when we made our presentation is that Ye is one of the big fives, Mr. Matlala, is arrested and is detained at the maximum prison of our country in Pretoria, Kgosimampulo, but is caught with a cell phone inside that facility. So that cell phone for sure was not dropped from the sky to get into the courtyard for him to get it. It was facilitated by someone within the correctional facility to have access to it. So we cited that one example, but we're not going to elaborate more of the other people that have had access to that correctional facility to come and see these arrested people and been assisted by the officials within. Some other items that have been given to these people that are arrested of the Big Five, facilitated by individuals within correctional facilities. So that's why I said I'm not going to go deeper into naming the names, who is doing what and who's doing what, because that is part of the criminal investigation that you're busy with. I just highlighted some of the examples in there. But as I was talking about this investigation, I was confining myself in Gauteng. But it's a problem across the country. South Africans will tell you that. Across the board, you have that problem. As the human rights allow for people that are in custody to have visiting rights, amongst others, the same human rights then allows illegal activities to happen, because then there's exchange of monies and the likes that are happening, while people are supposed to be taken away from society.
Okay. Is it the evidence of the general that the attempt to de-establish the political killings system was unwarranted? Most importantly, because the executive authority did not solicit a formal briefing from the management of the police service, and also because the political killings system has made a very great impact in terms of fighting political killings of politicians, traditional leaders, and the sort.
That's exactly. The minister who's the executive authority over the South African Police Service come from KwaZulu-Natal. The very same province where this problem exists, the very same province that was a cause of the formation of this team. The minister, having that experience of coming from that province, he goes against his own boss, the President of the Republic, who publicly on the 18th of May says these political killings must stop. And the minister goes out public and he says the political killings ended in 94. There's nothing like that now. So you then ask yourself a question, but what makes the executive authority to even say things against what his bosses say in public? and he has confidence to do that. On top of that, the minister has not received an advice, a briefing from the National Commissioner or the executive authority within the police. Disabling so, Honorable Chair and members, is that the very same act, the members of this parliament felt it is important to establish the civilian secretariat within the South African Police Service. And that civilian secretariat, I feel there's a DG there. And I feel the ministry does not make use of the DG. Because part of the responsibility of the DG, as contained in the Police Act, is to give legal advice to the minister, is to guide the minister about the do's and the don'ts. But if that DG was invited by the minister to brief him or seek advice before he signs such letters, we wouldn't be here today. The ignorance of that office of the executive secretariat of the police is part of the contribution that leads us into the wrong decision taken by the minister. He might not have been briefed by police management, but at least the DG at the civilian secretary will have briefed him, because that's the responsibility of that DG. But it looked like the minister did not take advice from all those people. I do not know whether the DG did brief him or not. Perhaps he must be invited to come here and say whether did he brief the minister before he signed that letter or not. Because the Act, Police Act, gives the DG the responsibility to advise the minister.
General, is it your evidence that a successful de-establishment of the political killings task team and a successful removal of the 121 dockets from KwaZulu-Natal to Pretoria would have definitely resulted into an abortion of justice?
It's exactly what has happened has resulted into that. Although the dockets are back in KZN, but we are sitting with a lot of complaints already from our clients out there, because there was an obstruction that happened as a result of that decision.
General, thank you very much. No further questions, Your Worship.
Honorable Sokanyile, are you covered? Okay, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Let me greet you, the honourable members, and the invitees. Good morning, General. General, when we talk about the PKTT, you're saying that it was very much successful. Then the PKTT was established. But before that, the president, when he visited Mr. Msawenkosi Mchunu, visiting that family because Msawenkosi Mchunu was assassinated, then he saw that political killings have escalated. And then he formed the interministerial committee. Then you have the interministerial committee that is there formed by the president, who established the PKTT, having the interministerial committee and the national commissioner. I'll tell you why after you have answered me. If you can just give me an answer. Who established that PKTT?
Is the national commissioner.
So the PKTT was established by the national commissioner, then the cabinet, it introduced the interministerial committee. Then, so its disbandment it should have been done by the National Commissioner, not by the minister, because the minister had no jurisdiction. Because to me, that interministerial committee was chaired by the Minister of SAPS. And that ministerial committee played an oversight role to the PKTT. If it played an oversight role, then there was a directive that should come to the IMC saying that you can stop here. Don't do that after having those meetings, even though you have said that they were not meeting frequently, even though they had to meet if there was something urgent. Then can you give me, do the interministerial committee give directives, or was it allowed, or the directives they were coming through the National Commissioner to the PKTT?
That is correct. The National Commission one will give directive what needs to be done.
Then, in the meetings now, if the IMC is having a meeting, then it will be surely it will be the National Commissioner who will bring a report and who will go out and communicate. So in other words, it means that the Minister of SAPS, even though he was chairing the IMC, had no jurisdiction to talk to the PKTT.
That is correct. The ministers can engage just about everyone they want to engage with. They can talk to every member. However, when they take strategic decision of this nature, it has to follow the chain of command first, and secondly, it has to be decisions that are within their delegation of authority. I must indicate, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, that the Minister of Police at the time when this IMC was functioning well, was Gerald Cele. Gerald Cele is an ex-police commissioner. Gerald Cele, I'm sure everyone knows, is a very active person that wants to get involved with a lot of things, and most of them end up being operational. It is Gerald Cele to have expected to have done something like this because of his energy that he has in terms of policing, but he did not. He still respected the National Commission. So each time he'll come to the province, and even he happens to be in KZN and he wants a briefing of something, he will not phone an investigator and say, come and tell me about what's happening somewhere there. He will phone one of us, either the National Commission, myself. He always tell me when he's in the province, as well as the person who was running the project, Gerald Khumalo. He was always engaging in that line. I mean, sometimes you'll come with the National Commissioner, they will have meetings, even if I'm not there. But he always engaged in that fashion, even if he does it outside the IMC. But he always followed that chain of command. So I do not know, maybe he was privileged to understand because he was a police commissioner to understand the chain of command that maybe even some did not understand. But that's just an example of how we were operating all the time without problems. And I'm sure even if it was a time for such a disestablishment of this team during that time, perhaps Gerald Cele would have taken it through the IMC to say, we started this, it's gone this far, we don't see much of this thing happening anymore. Let's approach the president and disestablish this the responsibility that was given to us by the president. And I'm sure they would have done it in a correct channel.
Yeah. Then you are having provincial commissioners under the national commissioner, then yourself, you had to report to the national commissioner about how the PKTT was working. And even going to Gauteng, where you sent, you didn't ask any advice, any permission from the IMC. Police were sent because of the agreement from the national commissioner and yourselves when the provincial commissioner of Gauteng wanted to be assisted.
That's correct. When there was a call for the members to be assisted, it only had to end with the National Commission because it was an operational thing.
Then in yourself, the role of the IMC, in your understanding or see it in practical terms now, you are having the national commissioner responsible for the PKTT, which you are nearer to it than the IMC, its role, having the national commissioner. I know the minister will play an oversight over the national, but having the IMC established specifically for political killings.
Yeah, well, I guess the presence of the IMC in a way took away the authority of the executive authority of the minister over the police, because then the work that the team was doing was to account to this group of ministers, with or without the Minister of Police presence. So any other minister will chair that meeting, that IMC, and we must account to that minister on what we're doing as the police. And the minister, together with his colleague, they will take that information to the president. So that is what, that's a setup that was created. So the national or the Minister of Police cannot claim to be the owner of such an operation. So the action of Minister Mkwanazi was flawed in relation to that. It missed that part.
Because to me, if you're saying that they took the powers of the Minister of Police, but the IMC was chaired by the Minister of SAPS.
Yeah, it was chaired by the Minister of SAPS. But once it becomes an IMC, it becomes a group of ministers that those that must execute must account to all of them. Honorable Chair and members, maybe I must also indicate how we structured in the organization. There's a cluster which is called the JCPS cluster. And when we operate within that cluster, we get directives that are coming from the cluster. So once a cluster, through the Joint Operation Intelligence structure, issues a directive, you will find a letter that is signed by maybe the Commissioner of Correctional Service or the Chief of the Army that directs the police to do A to Z. It's carrying that badge of JCPS. The police must do that. You're not going to say, no, this is not a national commission, we're not going to do it. Because we understand that it's a cluster that is given the tasking, that you must execute this specific task. So when you look at part of the example as we are discussing this, the annexure on this statement, volume 2, in your folders, just to emphasize the point, perhaps it might be visible, I'm not so sure. No, it's not visible. The presentation that is sitting on this, I think it was extracted, and there's some pictures that I wanted the members to see, which are not visible on this presentation. But the presentation that we were giving all the time as we summarize the work of the team on NSM4 on page 32. Oh, no, sorry. That presentation is for the one of portfolio committee. My mistake. I will find the one perhaps in some of the example of the presentation we'll give to the IMC. every time we give the presentation to IMC, we're going to put the coat of arms, and we're going to put the national flag as on top of the presentation. That is an indication that the presentation is not for the SCPS, but the presentation is for a cluster. So when you see in the cluster working arrangement, the presentation made, it does not reflect one department. It covers all the departments. You sometimes going to find the SSA badge in the defense badge in there, and many other departments that are involved, NPA and so forth. That's what you're going to find all the time. So once you see that, then you get to know that this is not one department's project, but it's a combination. We've been doing those type of presentation all the time, and that's how we structure it. If we do the police thing alone, we put a police badge. So that gives an indication, where does this one belong? So I guess if the minister had been privy to that, had called for a presentation, we were going to give him a presentation that has got multiple badges in it. And that was going to be a signal to him that this is not SAPS thing alone, it's for the collective. So he will have gone back to his colleagues to discuss the disestablishment.
Having the IMC and the Minister of SAFs chairing that IMC, playing an oversight role to the PKTT through the National Commissioner. So you're saying that he shouldn't have given a directive to the National Commissioner to say that disestablish this PKTT. You're saying that he was not supposed to do that, even though you know that he's playing an oversight role through that IMC, his sheriff, so that he reports to the IMC.
That's correct, Honorable Chair and members. I think I found what I wanted to make an example on. If you go to volume 3 of the annex on your folders, and you check Annex MK5, under NSM3, on the volume 3, written 3.1 on the next page 151. And it starts from there and it runs to, there are quite a number of pages of this presentation. I think ends at 170. So if you look at that presentation there, you'll see that there is a badge of the South African Police Service as well as the badge of the NPA. That's what I was talking about earlier. So that the moment you have a presentation that is going to have more than one badge, then you must know this doesn't belong to one entity. It's a combination. So that this is a typical example of how we present.
Then the last question that I asked, this one of the minister doing an oversight role and the interministerial committee playing an oversight role over the PKTT. Then they decide, the ministers decide to disestablish the PKTT, gives that directive to the National Commissioner. Are you saying that he was not supposed to do that, even though he's playing an oversight role? I know you have said that the PKTT is the decision of the National Commissioner. Then now the minister comes in and says, no, we should stop with the PKTT as he's playing an oversight role. He was not supposed to do that.
That is correct, honorable members, honorable chair and honorable members. I did indicate again on that NSM3 on my statement that I deposed at the commission, that the PKTT was just but one of the task teams that we had in the South African Police Service. And for the minister to choose only one team, and it decides that that team does not add any value in the policing in the country, was questionable right at the onset. So if the minister is honest, he should come here and explain why did he choose only this one. Doing his oversight as an executive authority over the South African Police Service, was he aware of the rest of the task team that existed? And if so, how did he get to know? Did he receive any presentations about each one of them? Did he assess the budget that was used by each one of them and how they're operating each one of them? And before he makes a decision that this one must be shut down. I mentioned the number of example of some of the national teams that were working in the province in the country at the time when the minister took this decision. This was not the only one that was operating, but I will find an example on my statement where I can make a reference to. So I still strongly believe that exercising oversight over the South African Police Service as a minister by deciding to disestablish the PKTT was not a decision informed by the performance of the team, was not a decision informed by the assessment that the minister has done over the work, was not informed by the people that allegedly informed the minister, the merit he has, the members that shared information, was not informed by that.
So immediately after the disestablishment of the PKTT, what happened to the IMC?
The IMT stopped meeting in September 2023. It has never met to date. Perhaps, Honorable Chair and members, that seems to be part of the challenges which shouldn't be there, but it is there. That the executive authority of departments are appointed by the leaders, be it a premier in the province, be it the president at national level. But those are the members that are coming from political parties. And their presence in those offices are dependent on the political parties or those individuals that appointed them. Now, if it then so happens that you go through elections and there's new government that is formed and the new leadership is appointed, the one that will have occupied the position of that executive authority of a department, by the time that the parliament is dissolved, that person is sitting in limbo because he's got no authority over the department and sit and wait like the rest of us watching television, hoping and praying that the president is going to appoint that person back into the position again. If it doesn't happen, that the person is appointed again as a minister of police, like in this case, I think the last day the minister of police will have left office is before the announcement of the president. That will be the last time the president, when the parliament is, when the parliament is dissolved, that person is no longer in the police, will have left with his bags. And when if he doesn't come back and a new individual comes back and there's no handing over that is done, the outgoing does not sit with the incoming and they sit down and they work on the program and they get to be briefed. To some degree, we might expect that from coming from different political parties, but the hatred within the same party is that bad that the outgoing the incoming doesn't want to hear anything about the outgoing. He doesn't want to listen to him or meet with him, doesn't want to even work with the staff that comes from that one. So they basically now, some of them don't even want cars. Doesn't matter whether the car is driven 10,000 kilometers. They don't want to sit in the furniture. They don't want anything to do with the outgoing. They start their own things afresh. I think that disconnect creates problems like this. Because then the incoming executive authority, the ministers that took responsibility of the former ministers, maybe some of them are not even aware that there was such an IMC that existed, because there was no handing over done. You'll ask different ministers of correctional service, justice, and all the others. They might tell you, we don't know anything about IMC you're talking about. Nobody told us about it. Otherwise, we would have met if we knew about it. If they did, maybe they met somewhere else, but not in an official place where we expect them to meet, where we're supposed to be part of that meeting and give them presentation. So that's where the challenge and that's where the risk is. I don't know what Parliament is going to do about that, but that's part of the problem.
Okay. Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, General. Let me stop there because I don't want you to go further to say that the ministers do this and that. Thank you, General.
Thank you.
Can I ascertain something with you? Are you stopping or are you saying my questions are ending here?
For now, they're ending here.
Okay.
When you give me, I'm an alternate. You know the alternate. Chair.
No, it's not how we agreed. It's not how we agreed. If you have exhausted your questions, we pass.
I've exhausted as of now.
It must be very clear. Your time has not ended. Your questions have ended. Is that so?
Okay.
So we move. And this must be the understanding, honorable members. If we allocate your time and your questions get exhausted before the time that has been allocated, we don't have time storage here. Yes, that's how we must understand it. So that somebody must not come back and say, I have invested time with you, Chairperson, and can I now get my investments? I'm moving forward to the MKP. Honorable Sangwen.
Chairperson, I don't want to misunderstand you. And then we come back and we do exactly what you say we must not do. Can we at this point?
But on a point of order, Chair. She's not going to behave like that. We're not in a house here. She has to be recognized by you. She can't just take a mic and speak.
Yes, I said.
No, Chair.
I said, honorable.
No, I didn't do that.
I lifted my hand, the chairperson recognized me, I proceeded to
This
speak.
comradeship is not going to work here. There's a procedure here.
Wait, honorable members. Honorable Malema, the name of Honorable Sangwen was called by me as the chair to say Honorable Sangwen, and I respectfully request you to apologize to the female comrade.
I was going to do that, but you can't point the finger at me and say, you must apologize, and then you take that instruction. It doesn't work like that. Do pointed the finger at me and say, must apologize.
No, let's do it. Let's do it out of revolutionary consciousness.
But Mdu must apologize to me first.
The struggle that we pursue,
I withdraw, I apologize.
It's about the recognition of women and their emancipation.
Thank you, Honorable Malema. I appreciate the apology.
Wait, Honorable Sangwa. Yeah. Okay. I now recognize you.
Thank you very much, Chair. No, you said that we are not, you don't have a storage of time. Now, I just want to confirm that as we stop at this point as the African National Congress and are going to come back, what is the time at this point? So we don't fight with you about that later.
I allocated you 1 hour plus 10 minutes. The 1 hour plus 10 minutes is for 2 full members of the ANC plus 1 alternate. Chief Whip.
No, Chair, I think we would like to help you because earlier on when you were explaining the allocation of time, I even whispered to some of my colleagues that no, he's making a mistake. This is how we understand the time allocation. The ANC has got 2 hours, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Each one of us, except one of my colleagues has got 30 minutes. What has happened now, in our understanding, is that 1 member that qualifies for 30 minutes and 1 member that qualifies for 10 minutes have participated in the discussion. And what we thought you are going to then say is that on the basis of the 30-minute plus 10-minute of the ANC that were supposed to be utilized by the two members, this is where we currently stand in terms of the time allocated to the African National Congress. But when you say you are allocating now 3 speakers to the ANC, because when you say it's an hour and 10 minutes, you are effectively telling the ANC that out of your 4 members plus 1, 3 of them, you want them to speak now. And that is not the understanding that we hold. And that is why we want to suggest to you, Chair, that at the moment, let's accept that 30 minutes and 10 minutes of the ANC has been utilized to the extent that the minutes were used. You now proceed to other political parties, but the ANC will have to work out with you. If you don't keep a storage, we keep a storage. How much of the 40 minutes was used by the 2 members, and therefore the balance of which will be addition to the 3 other members of the ANC, including you, who are yet to come back late. Thanks.
Okay. The 4 members of the ANC in this committee include me as your chairperson. So on the ground, you have 3 full members. And when I started, I said, I'm allocating you 1 hour plus 10 minutes. And I said, I'm going to split your allocation in 50%. So, and I gave the same example with the MKP to say, they have 1 hour plus 10 minutes. I'm going to give them 40 minutes. So they will have the last 30 minutes in the second round. And so in your case, as the ANC, you have 1 hour now plus 10 minutes in the first round and 1 hour in the second round. So now if for instance, you don't want to use your 30 minutes now, or you are not ready, you make a request to the chair to say, look, we acknowledge that you have allocated us. We humbly request that let's keep that 30 minutes. We will come and use it. We will indicate to you so that the meeting must proceed. Is that your request? Yeah, if there has been a misunderstanding, I'm sorry for that misunderstanding, but I will reasonably accept your request to say, let's now proceed to the MKP.
Yes, Chair, please accept our humble request that we defer the remaining time to later. Thanks.
And let's make it a practice that any member who wants to make a request like that one, it is acceptable, so that it must not become unjustifiable. Okay, the MKP. Let me say this to you, it's now 10:40. Can I check, are you going to speak, the 3 of you, in the 40 minutes allocated?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, you will decide how you allocate the time between yourselves, but your time is 40. Honorable Skosan.
Yes.
Your time is 40
minutes, yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning once again to General Mkwanazi, the Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal. We are blessed to have you say here among us. You know, it reminds me of our president of Umkhonto weSizwe Party when he said, "Abanye bayokhala." I don't want to put it in English. Ngizoyibika nje ngesiZulu. You'll interpret if you have to. Abanye bayokhala. I want to emphasize that once again. Let me start my questions to the General. You know, I've listened vividly yesterday here. Explosive stuff about what is happening in this country. I'm going to ask the General 4 questions, not 2. You know, I think it will be much easier for me to be able to complete as quickly as I can. 1, were you informed by senior police that the president is not happy about the task team drama and wanted clarity? I'm not sure whether that would be from you or from the National Commissioner. Perhaps the General can give us a clarity on that. I just want to find out about the presence of an elected person like Brian Mokgotsi in a secret service meeting. What is your take on that, General? Number 3, if you remember well, I know this is a national issue of Senzo Meyiwa, that one of your colleagues, you know, perhaps it will be proper as well if he's here, one perhaps can pose that question. One accusing that Senzo Meyiwa case was charged and sentenced and given bail committed for murder. Who's magistrate and which law did he apply to give such a criminal a bail? As I said earlier, a disclaimer, perhaps that question would be good as well for the NPA to respond on these matters. Why was General Sibia promoted to a senior position, even though there was a complaint that he procured a device that hacked phones for private purpose?
All right, thank you so much, Honorable Chair and honorable members. The last question, I think, is better be directed to the National Commissioner as well as the former Minister clearly, who I think were involved in the appointment of a person into the service, as well as the promotion of his rank into the Lieutenant General post. Regarding the magistrate that granted bail to one of the accused in Senzo Meyiwa case, honorable chair members, I said yesterday, I'm not a lawmaker, but as we are enforcing the law and trying to satisfy the clients out there, we identify gaps in the legislation. Gaps that if we're to be invited to give our input, we might give input. The unfortunate part, the honorable members might not agree with the inputs we give, because our inputs in the main might be seen as a violation of human rights. We must appreciate the fact that majority of the leaders of our government have made 10 in those walls of prison in the past. Perhaps the recognition of human rights was to try and prevent the experience that some of the leaders had in the past. But in so doing, government opened or made the life of a criminal to be comfortable behind bars. It is the law of this country that allows a person to be treated as innocent until proven otherwise. The mere fact that the very same court will sign off a warrant of arrest of a person get arrested, but the same court then decides a person is got the right to be released on bail. It then defeats the purpose, because the same court will have signed a warrant of arrest. The same court then says the person must then be released on bail. The freedom that are enjoyed by presiding officers to decide on whether to keep a person in custody or not can, to some degree, contribute to more crime that we're experiencing in the country. So when the presiding officer decided to grant a murder suspect more than one bail, he goes out, he commits another murder, he comes back in. He goes out, he commits another murder, he comes back in. It becomes an unending crime scene that you're dealing with. Honorable Chair members, there are many examples. Police officers can give you a list of them. We had one in KZN where a person was found guilty for 12 years, but wholly suspended. He walked out of the prison doors and he called his friend to have a celebration. When they arrived at home to organize celebration, the victims of that crime visited them while they were having the celebration. They killed 8 people. And the South Africans made noise that so many people killed in KZN, but forgetting that this is the community that decided to take the law into their own hands because the system failed them. When a person is found guilty for 12 years for serious crime, but that all the sentences are suspended, it makes you ask yourself a question. If you've lost a person, you've been raped, you will not accept that. But unfortunately, the law protects the very same perpetrator. It is this house that passes the budget for those that committed crime to be fed in prison and live a luxury life at the expense of the taxpayer. So I'm going to leave it there in as far as the magistrate is concerned. We're safe to challenge the legislature to look at the powers given to the magistrates to decide on punishments. Perhaps we might want to employ a different method of deciding on matters of this nature. My take in the presence of Mr. Brown in SAPS meetings, my take in Mr. Brown having access to police matters, presentation of crime intelligence and so forth, it's a violation of the very same security that we want to protect as the police. The safety of the citizen that the Minister of Police is given a responsibility to ensure that is provided to the citizens is violated if we invite people that have got no authority to be part of the security architect of government to play part. So this is the highest infiltration you can think of, well, all the time we've been saying a political party because he had claimed to be a politician. The minister himself claimed to be his comrade. I believe when you say comrade, he means he's a member of his political party. Although surprised of late to learn that actually he's not a member of that political party. So I do not know the word comrade where it came from when the minister said he was a comrade, because it means the minister invited a person who's got no political standing to even be involved in policing matters. And that is a serious concern. It's part of the reason why I wanted to address it with the minister, because it's going to have serious consequences going forward. I was not informed about the president's take in terms of the unhappiness with regard to the PKTT, but I want to invite honorable members to go on YouTube and go and listen to the president when he recently, after my press briefing, when he visited Northern Cape, and he made a press briefing there. And he was asked by a journalist this question about his views on the PKTT. His words was, the PKT is doing a very good job. So if it comes from the head of state after my address that the PKT is doing the good job, then I wonder which president that the minister is talking about. Because the president recently said the PKT is doing a good job. So it makes me believe the president was not even aware about what the ministers decided back in December. Thank you so much.
Thank you, General. I just want to find out as well, Generals, about individuals within IDEC and perhaps the mandate of ID and IDEC, because recently there was an allegation on the media that there's an imminent arrest of the National Commissioner and yourself by IDEC. And I just want to find out, the mandate of IDEC and ID in your understanding. And there are individuals who are being quoted, which I think there'll be witnesses here as well. Maybe you know them, because most of them we are told are coming from KZN. Brian Padiache, you've spoken about him yesterday here. And I'm not sure whether General Moodley has resigned and now or is still within the police in KwaZulu-Natal. Dylan Perumal, Sunil Pulchen, and Nico Williams. And the prosecutor famously known as Prosecutor Shabalala, who's prosecuting in different areas, in the Eastern Cape, in Gauteng as well, moving with the task team, guided by the task team, special task team. Now, my question to you, General, I'm not sure whether are you aware of this, as you said, perhaps because I'm giving names here, because that's for, is in the public domain, that those are the members who are rogue in IDEC. And perhaps, do you know any rogue unity as well within South African Revenue Service, as well working with some of the crime intelligence police officers? In one area, General, there's Captain Pele, who was convicted from the crime intelligence service in KwaZulu-Natal. And he was reporting to Colonel Zulu. Zulu was reporting to General Moodley. There was a misrepresentation of facts when they were giving a designated judge in terms of these communication, backing some telephone numbers. In one of those telephone numbers which they backed, they will back someone using somebody's telephone. When I'm saying representation, in one of those cell phone numbers, they were using then former Minister and former National Commissioner General Kele's number. And Kele was convicted. Captain Kele was convicted for 3 years, but it was suspended. So he was still within the police force of KwaZulu-Natal. I'm not sure now in the criminal intelligence whether he's still in the police, or has he resigned, or because he was convicted. I think it would have been perfect, for SAPS to decide what would they do with that. Now, have you noticed this trend of IDEC prosecutors and investigators taking matters before specific magistrates for a purpose of signing warrants, bail applications, and trial? In particular, in these 3 provinces, KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape, and Gauteng, is the provincial commissioner aware of that? I understand that you are provincial commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal, but some of the incident started when you were still an acting national police commissioner. I know it's long ago. My last, in the 4, I'll just check time whether I'm still within my time. You referred to the Northern Cape when the president was asked about the question of the PTT. In your view, has the president in his constitutional power as an ultimate authority over the system, will you agree that he has failed to act, which that makes him complicity by omission and warrants a criminal inquiry into this executive interference by the special lift minister, Senzo Mkhunu? What would be your take on that? In the light of these revelations that classified briefing were photographed and sent to the civilian close to the minister, should the commander-in-chief, being the president, be held personally answerable for failing to safeguard this national intelligence? Thank you, General.
Thank you so much, Honourable Member. I did not necessarily get some of the questions that you were asking, but the last one, where you are seeking my opinion about the President's response on the issues that were presented on the 6th of July. I've said yesterday, you asked me about police management and how to deal with things in the police, I can answer. But you ask about the management of the country. I might have my own opinions, but I'm not in that position to be able to say this, what the president should have done, and this, what he shouldn't have done. I've not been exposed to that level of what it takes to run a country. So it's going to be difficult for me to say, is the action of the president establishing the Madlanga Commission the right thing or not? I don't know. Is it the right thing that the parliament is doing, establishing a set committee or not? I don't know. So I cannot then express my opinion. Yes, I'm a citizen of the country. Chair said yesterday that I've got the right to express my opinion as a citizen of the country that participate in elections. But as an official of government, as a disciplined police officers, the president remains the commander-in-chief. He remains my commander. If I have issues with him, I need to find a way through my commanders to address with him. So in this instance, about the challenges we're facing, I went through the National Commission to try and reach out to the president. Never went to the president directly myself. So that is where, as far as I can go. So I cannot express opinion whether he knew and what did he know and how did he react. That's why I was making a reference to his address in Kimberley, if I'm not mistaken, after my address, where he said to the media that the PKTT is doing a good job in KZN. So they made me believe that he is not necessarily in favor of the decision that was taken by the minister in December last year. I'm told about the advocate of the NPA that works very close in dealing with the cases that are within the IPID as well as the cases that are within IDEC. But I like to believe that maybe the national director of the prosecution will be invited to come and explain more about the jurisdiction of that prosecutor, whether he's authorized to work like that or not. I cannot talk on behalf of the NPA. Safe, honorable chair and members, to mention that the very same national director of public prosecution went on the national TV where she said there are bad things happening within the NPA. Maybe she did not have the energy or the courage to drop names and tell who is doing what where, but she mentioned that. So perhaps if she comes here, she might want to elaborate that in details. Who is doing what within the NPA? The Cele that you are referring to, honorable member, that was convicted, I don't have the details. Maybe if you finish me with the details of that Cele, I might be able to investigate so that I can be able to give a full briefing as to the whereabouts of that Cele, if it's still within the service or not in the service anymore. The members of the ACPS that are going to be coming here, if the member comes from KwaZulu-Natal and comes to this portfolio committee, is invited by this portfolio committee, I must know about it. If I don't know about it, it could be one of the two things. Either that member coming here works for the national divisions that are based in KZN. In that case, I'm not responsible for their movements. I wouldn't know about where they're going at any given time. On two scenarios, that if the member comes there and yet he works under my command in KZN, it could be the member that is coming here unauthorized if I have not given a permission because I have not been informed. Or it's a member that would have traveled here during his or her spare time. In such a case, I don't have any say as to where the member's going. So I wouldn't really know who are the members that are invited. But a Major General Mutley that you made a reference to, I know at one stage he was dismissed from the service recently and he made an appeal in court. And I think his dismissal was overturned. I don't know what's the status because I'm not in that space of intelligence. I like to believe you are referring to General Mutley from Crime Intelligence. The General Mutley from Crime Intelligence used to work in KZN. Honorable Chair members, I spoke about what happened in 2011 when one was given a privilege of managing the organization at the national level. Major General Mutley was one of the subjects of investigation where General Khumalo was a brigadier then, responsible for counterintelligence. He was accused of many things. One of them, honorable chair and members, and I spoke about this yesterday, that there's so many wrong things. One of the examples I'm going to cite now that you're mentioning the name is that a police officer will own a farm And in that farm will employ people that are working in the farm. And all those people that are working in the farm, they get registered in the police as agents. And they draw the salary every month from the secret fund account to pay for their employment in the farm. That's a typical example of what we're dealing with in 2011 that has not stopped to date. General Mutlu was one of the implicated people in that. So I know of a General Cele as a former National Commissioner of the Police, the Minister of Police, not the captain that you are referring to, whose number, cell phone number, was included in the application that was submitted to the judge, where the request was to listen to these phone numbers by crime intelligence as they were running an operation. The judge needed to approve that you have this case that you're investigating, you are giving an authority for this period to monitor the communications on these phones. General Cele's number was included by the members of crime intelligence, of which the head of the investigation team, where Gerald Kumal and the team are arrested, was accused of when he was at crime intelligence. He was part of the people suspected to be involved with that. And it's part of the things we're trying to clean out at the time at crime intelligence. But unfortunately, when the new leadership came in 2012, we were pushed aside. Those things were not finalized. At the time, Gerald Mhluli was suspended by myself. But when I moved out of the position, he was transferred from Durban. He went to work at the head office in Pretoria. And he's been working there ever since. So, Honorable Chair members, I do hope that as we're engaging, we are showing some of deficiencies that exist in the system, which require the serious interrogation, because it doesn't start now. It started way back and it's still happening now. The police leadership will sit in a place like this to come and account before the Portfolio Committee on Police. The chairperson sitting on top will receive information from members from crime intelligence and should take that information and pass it to the honorable member across to attack the police management this side. We have the facts on those. But we couldn't clean those things up, and they are still happening today. So I'm not sure if there's any question that I've missed on that, honorable member.
Nope, you haven't missed anything, General. Let me just conclude my last 4.5 minutes by saying I'm happy that the issue as well that Peggy Cele requested a police. I just want to have your take on that. Who was investigating serious cases of political killings, which my counterpart will deal with that. Be released of his duties to join him in Gauteng and abandon serious cases. Was that the right decision? Was it allowed? And why was it allowed, if it's allowed? I'm not sure, General, whether it's proper for us to say, to demand audit of the Secret Service accounts. Maybe not in our portfolio committee, perhaps on another portfolio committee of intelligence, but I'm talking about crime intelligence, which I think, I might be wrong, that within us, in the police portfolio committee, that we have to have that. We must demand that. And I'm happy that our chair is here. But I just want to take, get an advice from you. What would be your take on that? Because yesterday in your presentation was that there's too much power invested in one person, the National Co-Commissioner. Perhaps it would be proper for us to reconfigure the police now. As you said, that the population has grown, there's more challenges in this country. Maybe the provincial commissioners or provinces must have certain powers to deal with matters of police, which us as lawmakers, I think we have to consider that, your proposal which you've made yesterday. But I supported that when I look at it, and I think it will work wonders. Because as you said now, sitting here, that all the powers are invested in one individual, which might be a risk for the country. And I want to say that on that one, I'm giving you a thumbs up. As Mkondo Sizwe, I think we spoke about that and said, perhaps we have to lobby other parties to have that done. The other issue, I'm not sure about the cost of taxpayers' money in all these shenanigans which happen, for the Department of PKTT, and the issue, which it's very concerning, General, that a private company in this country will be guided by the police and our elite police, the elite special task team, the Richards Bay terminal. And we are very concerned with that, General. I'm not sure what is your take, because the president is involved with that company, alleged, let me put it like that, alleged involved with the Richards Bay, that has got business interests. And that the team was sent there as well without your knowledge. Now, we know what happened in Marikane. When some of the members, executive members, were directors of Lonmin, were killed. The workers, they were killed. But I'm trying to indicate about the issue of Richards Bay, that why are we having our police guarding a private company's interest? My last one, Chair. The issue of Tembisa, the Matlalas and the Mohoti, the 360 million tender, I know it's at the national level, but as you said, you've got your BO, I think you said your BO, the Board of Provincial Commissioners, if I'm right. I'm not sure what was this matter being raised, because the question from the media and from the people of this country, they want consequence management. They are asking themselves, and they're asking us as members, as representative of the people. One question we should have asked, they're asking about why some people are not arrested, like Maumele, who went to court recently seeking to get permission to go abroad to Disneyland with his child. That we are told is one of the big five, and is not arrested. He's roaming freely as if nothing has happened, and someone was killed. No, you're not the chair. The chair is out. And he's intimidating me now. And I just wanted to find that from you, Chair. General, through you, Chair, who's absent. And I think I'll come back at a later stage, because I'm a bit worried that Lieutenant General Kumalo was arrested by this infamous, so-called infamous rock team from IDEC. You've explained yesterday, and we understood you very well, that there's two divisions within, there's good men and women at IDEC, but there are some of these investigators who retired from South African Police Service. But the funny part, General, I'm not sure whether it's allowed by law. They took dockets to IDEC from the police. They were investigating cases when they were still working in the South African Police Service. They resigned. They went to IDEC. They took dockets to IDEC. and harassing people. So my question, is that allowed for a police officer to resign after resigning when he was still investigating cases? Then he took the docket with himself to another state institution, because IDEC is not, they are accounting to NDPP. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, General. In absentia.
Thank you so much, honorable members. The last part on IDEC, honorable member earlier spoke about the names of members that are working at IDEC that are supposed to be part of the rogue team. And I said earlier, I isolated one, Mr. Padachi. There are many members working there. Yes, some of the names that you mentioned are part of the team, but not all the members that are part of the team are bad members. They are participating, yes, but at least they are the ones that are sharing us information about the rot. Other than that, we would not have known about what's happening inside. Thanks to them. But we'll be able to give you their details when the time is right. We're not going to do it now. Those that are, yes, they are painted back because they're inside, but they are able to tell us about the wrong that is happening inside. So we are happy to have them there so that they pass this information to us and that help us to be able to know what's happening inside IDEC. The status of the case dockets, honorable members, this is not only the problem with IDEC. I think the Portfolio Committee of Police, honorable chair of the Portfolio Committee is here today, and the honorable member. It's some of the things that might need to be looked at, because when the ACPS is brought before the committee to account, we account on case dockets. But once a case docket move over to IPIT, on the system remains with ACPS, but the ACPS doesn't know what's happening in that docket. It's in IPIT, and IPIT is not held accountable mostly of the time because they don't have a system to monitor those dockets. Similar happened to IDEC. IDEC takes the docket away from the police station, and they register a case at the police station, and they take it away and they disappear. It remains open on the system and the police, and it affects the detective performance. And yet that docket sits somewhere else, and it's a responsibility of another entity. So it's some of the controls that might need to be looked at. Yes, DPCI is within the organization, but they also have dockets that are sitting with them that are registered at police stations. And there's no updating of the information sometimes at the station, but at least with DPCI, they have access into the system, so they update the status of the investigation remotely from wherever they are having the docket with them, similar to the task teams that they're able to do that. But the entities that are outside the police system, which is IDEC and IPIT, we find it difficult in terms of managing the investigation. So it would be easy for a docket that was with IPIT originally, we know that it's with IPIT, for that docket to have moved from IPIT to IDEC, and we all know about it because it was anyway outside the police control. So it's some of the challenges that we will want to fix. The issue of General Kumalo of KZN, Major General Kumalo, together with General Cele Meta, I think I spoke about it yesterday, that General Kumalo did not resign from the police, and therefore General Cele did not get his way. The General Cele will come here and he will confirm that I was not very pleased with what he attempted to do at the time. So I think that matter we can close it like that because it never went anywhere. Yes, I did highlight the issue of RPM in KZN. Honorable Chair members, yeah, when I mentioned the issue of RPM is because I wanted, as I was asked, to give a background about the members that I was accused of having stopped them from doing their work, whether these members were under my control or not, and how they came about to be in KZN, and what were they doing in KZN. That's why I ended up talking about this. I still believe that the leadership of the police, the National Commission, or who else that deployed them, they might need to come and explain what were they doing there and why not. Why was I not part of it? Honorable Chair members, the Constitution of the Republic and the Police Act only makes reference to two individuals to be in charge of the service. The National Commissioner as appointed by the Constitution as well as Police Act. The National Commissioner appoints the Provincial Commissioner, also recognized by the Constitution and confirmed by the Police Act. Those are only two. And the rest of the people that, or employees that we have in the organization are referred to as members. So when you have the system designed by the Constitution like that, and which similar happens in Parliament, you have a minister who's a cabinet member, then you have the president. Yes, the president appoints deputy ministers, but we've seen it many times. So when a minister is out of the country or is not well, and for whatever good reason, a deputy minister does not act as a minister. Another minister acts. But in South African Police Service, where you have a national commissioner appointed in line with the Constitution and the provincial commissioner appointed in line with the Constitution, when a national commissioner is not in the office, a member gets appointed to be acting national commissioner. That's why we are in this dilemma today, because there are so many generals sitting at the head office that are appointed by national commissioners and given portfolios at the national office, and they feel they're too powerful. And that's what contributes to this. The national commissioner goes on holiday in 31st of December. He appoints a member who is a deputy national commissioner as the acting national commissioner, which means by default, that person must be in charge of the provincial commissioner. Literally, that's what it means. Is that what the Constitution envisaged? Is that what the Act envisaged? I'm not a legal person to answer the question, but the national commissioner appoints in black and white and say you are the acting national commissioner for a period, I'm not in the office. Then you're going to find that that acting person will end up sitting in meetings. The POC that you're talking about, the Board of Commissioners, is a structure that is catered for in the legislation between, and is explicit, between the national commissioner and the provincial commissioner. Nobody else. But I invite you to go and see the minutes of the POC in the police. There's 9 provincial commissioners and 1 national commissioner. That makes 10. But there's more than 10, 11, 12 lieutenant generals that are sitting at the head office. They are part of this POC. So whatever is discussed at the POC is dominated by these generals at the head office. I know that because I come from there. I was part of those. So the voice of the provincial commissioner gets silenced in such meetings. You don't have a voice much at that POC. You might say something, but the divisional commissioner is influencing the national commissioner, or the DNC has decided. So therefore, we must follow the line. So it's part of the problems that we have in this organization. So I hope if those things are introduced, then you're not going to have a deployment of members that are coming to the province that the provincial commissioner doesn't know about, to avoid the RPM things. Because ultimately, the provincial commissioner must be accountable for what's happening in the province. And the Constitution says the provincial commissioner must engage with the executive authority of the province. And in order to satisfy the communities of that province, we have to find a way of making some amendments in the legislation so that we empower such to be done at the provincial level. Honorable member, you spoke earlier about the IDEC and the powers that they have. I think the Amendment Act of the NPA, if I'm not mistaken, it should be in section 7 somewhere about. It's outlined what the IDEC is supposed to be investigating. But the first part is that they're dealing with serious and complex cases. And then they list type of charges related to that seriousness, fraud, corruption, and so forth. Act of dishonesty is also written somewhere there. So I like to believe that if you take that which is in a section of the NPA Amendment Act and you look at what IDEC is doing currently and balance the two, you're going to find gaps. That surely IDEC, whatever cases they have before them, might not necessarily fulfill that which that section on the Amendment Act was envisaged. So if that happens, then you might need to ask yourself a question as a legislature, whether did you take the right decision to establish this entity? Or else maybe you might want to look at taking these powers you gave it to this entity back to to the DPCI, and you look at how do you empower the DPCI to be fully in control and independently so to be able to prosecute these cases. Because a typical example, if a police officer wants to come and search your house, an investigator is going to make a submission to the prosecutor will sign off and give it to the magistrate will authorize a warrant for that to happen. But at IDEC, at NPA, that doesn't happen. The prosecutor that is part of the investigation signs this thing and they go straight to your house to come and session. They don't go via all these other people. It might be quicker to resolve problems, but there's an abuse of the system that is built into that, which I wanted the committee to look at. I hope this is just about everything you've asked.
Thank you, Chair General. Chair, you were out and I've abused you a bit, but thank you so much, General. I think the only last thing which perhaps my question on that was your take, but I think you posed it nicely because I was asking whether is it right that perhaps these functions of IDEC, some of them, or in fact disband that IDEC and have all these things back to the SAPS. I think it's upon us, but thank you, Chair.
Honorable Nomvalo.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and greetings to members of the ad hoc committee. And good morning, Shamas. My first question relates to a letter.
You say good morning, what?
Shamas. It's Tagazel.
Oh.
Yes.
No. I have been addressing you as Charlie. It's not something unfamiliar. I just wanted to understand and know so that I can use it as well in future. Thank you so much. Shamas.
The first question I have, Chair, relates to a letter dated the 31st of December 2024, which was written by the minister to disband the political killings task team. Now, in the last paragraph of the letter, the minister says the final and closing report must be submitted to the Ministry Management Executive Committee meeting late January 2025, the date of which will be communicated as soon as possible. Following from that, was that report submitted according to your knowledge, Shamas? Was it submitted to the minister?
I was informed that it was submitted.
Do you know the content of the letter? Are you aware of what was entailed in the letter that was submitted to the minister?
No, I'm not privy to such a communication. I've not seen it.
Okay. Secondly, I want to get the correct sequence of events here. My understanding is that under normal circumstances where there is no political killings task team, dockets which relate to criminal matters are stored in the police stations under the supervision of the investigating officer. Now, this political killings task team was established in 2018 when the scourge of political killings was rife already in KZN. Was the political killings task team only dealing with cases which were reported to it, or there are cases which they took from the police stations which were already reported prior to their establishment? That is my first question. You can answer, General.
Yeah, the team, when it started, I think I will have explained it somewhere that when it started, it had a number of cases that were already registered, that they took over. That obviously those dockets will have been at the police stations that were given to the team when it started. And as the team was working, the team also will have generated new cases that will have happened if there's an incident that happens and the case is open, that case gets transferred to the trust team. And in other instances, you're going to have parallel investigations that will be, while the team is investigating one case and they discover that that case has got a linkage, or the suspect they're looking for has got a linkage into another case. And then they go and request that that case be brought in and merged with this one, just so that the chances of conviction can be improved. So that's a variety of dockets that the team was handling. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, no, you have answered it adequately. And then the minister was appointed in July as the minister 2024, and the letter was issued on the 31st of December 2024. So the conclusion from that is that the period between the assumption of responsibility by the minister and the decision that was taken was 6 months. Between that period, did the minister ever summon a report of these dockets to have an understanding of what is happening and to have an understanding of progress that has been made? Have you ever had a meeting, if not you, the national, according to your knowledge, if not you, the national commissioner, with the minister, wherein the dockets were a subject matter?
Honorable Chair and members, the only engagement we've ever had with the Minister of Police is when the minister was appointed as a Minister of Police. We're all invited in Pretoria, where you gave the minister a presentation. But in that presentation, there was nothing talking about task teams at all. And that was the only closest engagement we've ever had with the minister, where he briefed him about the state of policing. So when the decision was taken about the disestablishment of this PKTT, we hadn't had any opportunity to engage with the minister. At least I know myself, I was not invited to meet with him. And later I learned that from the National Commissioner himself also did not have an opportunity to talk to him about it, neither General Kuman. But when you read what the minister is saying on his letter, is that he's been briefed. So when the minister has been briefed, it simply says someone told the minister that this team must be disestablished. So it is that someone that I believe drafted that letter. And I can speculate, I can assume as to who the person could be. Why will I assume? Is because I've got evidence that junior members of the South African Police Service are communicating with the executive on how they must manage the National Commission. You will have a General Spear sending a WhatsApp to the Deputy Minister of Police. I don't know who's the Deputy Minister. I'm still investigating that part. But you will send this WhatsApp message and tell the Deputy Minister and make suggestion, the Deputy Minister, you must hold the National Commission accountable with this and that and that. And you will further say, I've even shared these things with comrades so and so. These are General Spear writing messages to the Deputy Minister. And I told the two Deputy Ministers when we met with the acting minister recently, that one of you is part of the problem. I just don't know yet who, but one of the deputies is part of this problem. And so I said it in their face, they can't deny it, they'll confirm. I have WhatsApp messages, therefore we are part of the investigation, we'll establish who is this Deputy Minister. But that's just a typical example. I don't think I've shared with the members. I don't know if you have that WhatsApp. SC, I did communicate with yourself about this one. I don't think we presented, because I can show you as an example of how General Spear sends communications to deputy ministers and about issues that he's supposed to address with the National Commission, but he addresses the deputy minister. So the deputy minister must come back and make the National Commission to account on it. So if you want to, maybe you can flight it on the screen if need be, because I do have some of these WhatsApp messages. That the fortunate part, he did not just send it to the deputy minister, he also forwarded these messages to the Office of the Inspector General of Intelligence.
So, following the narrations that you have given us, it is reasonable to make a conclusion that the decision to disband the political killings task team was taken by the minister without having requested for any report from the relevant people within the SAPS with regards to the status of the work of the political task team, of the political killings task team. Is that the correct conclusion to make according to what we have said? Do you agree with that conclusion?
I strongly believe, Honorable Chair and members, that what is contained on this letter is not the minister's words. I strongly believe that. If the minister was honest, he would say that someone made me sign this. I did not write it myself. As when the other letters that were signed off by the former Inspector General of Intelligence that were drafted by General Mdluli, that the Inspector General did not write, but she signed them, the letter. And I said, I invite Advocate to Jay Cavender to come here so she can confirm those things, because she used to work in that office of the Inspector General. So when the Chief of Staff, Mr. Nkabinde, says to me, the letter's been going back and forth, it made me believe that he was a facilitator of this letter coming from somewhere where it was being drafted to the minister for signature and back being corrected and eventually gets a signature. So I like to believe, as much as the minister has to take ownership of the letter, his signature is here, but I don't think he's the author of this thing. Because if he was, then the question would be, Minister, why didn't you feel that it's important to first sit down with the National Commissioner and talk about this? How could we make such a drastic decision based on the wrong information? I mean, if you look at what that paragraph says, in 2019, that's a wrong thing to start. A directive was made to the National Commission of Police following the Morane Commission report. I presented before this committee that the President of the Republic, on the 18th of May 2018, he addressed the citizen in Pietermaritzburg about this matter. On the 21st, there was a meeting of the IMC. On the 24th of May 2018, the President was in this House of Parliament. We spoke about the IMC. But comes the Minister of Police, who arrived in July 2024 as the Minister of Police. He comes and he says, this task team was established in 2019 based on the Morane Commission. We can see the person who's misinformed. He's a year late about the dates. So it's part of the things I wanted to address with the minister. Had he given me an opportunity, we're going to talk about. But he felt that I'm less important to be listened to, and he goes ahead and enforces this letter. So it's a typical example of why I'm saying the minister did not draft this thing. Someone wrote this and he made the minister to sign. But if he says it was on his own who wrote this letter, I hope that what he's going to say here under oath versus what the criminal investigation is going to uncover is going to collaborate. Otherwise, there's going to be a problem.
I think I'm satisfied with your response, General. On page 20, paragraph 37.
Before you go to the next question, just to check, General, because Honorable Nombalo says, at the time the minister signed or sent, or the letter was sent on the dissolution of the PKTT, had he demanded a report, a status report to say, this is the work that has been done by the PKTT. It is succeeding or it has failed. So here with this letter, be informed that we are dissolving it. Was there any request for that status report?
I will expect, Honorable Chair, that the minister understands that the accounting officer in the police is a national commissioner. Therefore, a report must be requested from the national commissioner. So what the National Commission is saying is that he was never requested. But National Commission will come here tomorrow. I'm sure he will come and confirm that. But he says he was not informed, he was not requested to provide such. But on the defense of Minister Mkhunu, I cannot say that he did not receive any briefing from somewhere. There's a possibility that he might have been briefed by the Deputy National Commissioner, Crime Detection, Charles B. I'm not saying he did, but there's a possibility that he would be briefed by him. A person who might claim that says, I'm in charge of all the investigations in the country, so therefore I'm briefing you, here's the position. And if he believes that, well, it's up to the minister then to account why he believes something that comes from a junior person, but not the accounting officer.
Do you have any recollection of yourselves who were involved being requested to provide any report?
No, there was never a request.
Thank you so much. You can proceed, Honorable Member.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for that progressive intervention. General, on page 13, paragraph 20 of your statement, you are saying Mr. Nkabinde said he was put under significant pressure. Did he mention to you who was putting him under pressure?
No, he did not mention that.
So you didn't make a follow-up question of who exactly was putting him under pressure?
No, I did not.
Okay, with regards, you have also mentioned that there was an attempt to link General Khumalo to the matter of Cindy Somakak, the former SG of the ANC Youth League. And the impression which I drew from how you expressed it is that that attempt was just frivolous. It had no material evidence. So they wanted to use it to destroy General Khumalo. Are you in possession of any evidence, even if you don't disclose it, if it's going to compromise the investigation hereof? Are you in possession of any evidence which suggests that General Khumalo was never involved in the matter of Cindy Somakak, and therefore any attempt to associate him with such was nothing but just a frivolous attempt to destroy him?
Honorable Chair and members, I was the Commander, Provincial Commissioner acting in KZN 2018-2019. I've been involved with the work of the PKTT, and each time they are in conducting investigation, they were keeping me informed about the status of the investigation. That's why I know about the arrest of the mayor, I know about the arrest of the municipal manager, I know about the arrest of police officers, I know about the arrest of the hitmen, and I know about the challenges the team faced when they're trying to seek information from crime intelligence in order to establish whether indeed is it true that the vehicle and the firearm that were used were sourced from crime intelligence. If so, what was the project that the crime intelligence was busy with that led into such? So when I was briefed about all those things, and also a meeting that was held at Peter Marisbeck prison, new prison, over the weekend, outside the visiting hours, where a group of men dressed in black suits and driving fancy cars that came to have a private meeting in prison with the mayor at the time and some people that were arrested discussing that case, a meeting that ended with information coming to us that the people are going to court on Monday, the mayor is going to be released in court. And exactly that what happened. When they went out to court, they were all released. The mayor and the city manager were released, except the hitman. That's why the hitman is now making stories, because he was part of the initial arrest. So I knew about all that information. But when I saw in the media, Mr. Adams, member of this parliament, who I believe engaged with one of police officers that were arrested that is currently in custody in KZN, and who then the member who used to work with the political killings task team, arrested by the same task team. He's then becoming a whistleblower by claiming that the team is the one that was behind the murder of Makap, forgetting that the team is the one who was behind the arrest of the people that were involved in the murder of Makap. That mispresentation, which landed in a public space, and the narrative was drawn that Khumalo is a bad person as a result of that. The PKTT are bad people. As we speak now, members that used to work in the team have been visited to issue statement or write statement, negative statement against the team. It's something that's happening as we speak by the people that want to justify that there was a need to establish the team. I've said members were arrested within the team. If Khumalo or any other member that was working in the team was wrong, they can be arrested as well. Don't dissolve the team because of those individuals. Over 30 police officers were arrested. The team was not dissolved because they was doing his job, arresting on one of their own as well. So if Khumalo is one of the people that should have been arrested as a result, that evidence should have been presented. We've got IPID that has a responsibility to investigate police conduct. They should have been approached and given evidence and let them investigate. But that was not objective because there was no facts on that. But it was just a smear campaign to make sure that they destroy the image of Jerry Khumalo and the members that are working in the PKTT.
If my memory serves me well, General, the decision to release the two members that we have spoken about, the former mayor and the former municipal manager, which was made in Umzimkhulu Magistrate Court, was that there was no insufficient evidence. But following from what we have explained, the assumption that we can draw is that there was a collaboration of the police and the prosecuting authority, the NPA, because a decision to withdraw charges is not made by a police officer, but by a prosecutor. So I'm telling this committee that for the release of those two individuals, the police collaborated with the NPA, and if so, is there any investigation that is underway in pursuit of finding evidence in that regard?
The collaboration, I wouldn't say between the police and the prosecution, but the prosecution that took a decision that we're collaborating with, I believe, maybe the lawyers of the arrested people. And of course, there are officials within correctional service in Pietermaritzburg that were part of this because they allow such a meeting to take place in times where the visiting should not have been allowed. And so, and that led into the release of those arrested people at the time. The investigation continued, it never stopped. The conviction that has happened now of the person that when they were released, they made a deal with the hitman that will look after him. So, but when they're outside, they could not look after the person as they had committed. So that's what made this man to be angry in custody. That's why he ended up talking about the things that he was talking about, that he was part of this and they didn't look after him. So therefore he's confessing on what has happened. The unfortunate part is that the mayor killed himself, despite the fact that we had confiscated his firearm, but the court ruled that he must get back his firearm. So he took it and he killed himself. But the municipal manager is in court as we speak, because that investigation continues to find the people that are still behind the death of Siniso Makapa. And that is not going to stop.
You have also made an averment that there are some detectives who were in cahoots with criminals who were within the political killings task team, the result of which you took a decision to rotate them. Did some of those, or did any of the detectives of the political killings task team try to influence the Sindiso Makaka case?
No, not that I know of, because when the police of when those people were released, police officers were quite upset about it. They were not very happy when such happened. There are many other cases that were in court, and the behavior from both the prosecution and the presiding officers in some of these cases were questionable, that were frustrating the work of the team. So I wouldn't say that their members they were in cahoot with that, but I can confirm again here that that matter of Sindiso Makaka involved policemen. Policemen that were working at Durban Harbour, who comes from that area. They were part of that operation. What I picked up is that crime intelligence had a project where this firearm and this stolen vehicle were part of the project, and the project for CITs. It was to deal with CITs. And I've said, when you want to infiltrate a certain syndicates, you need to be part of that syndicate. So unfortunately, the people that they recruited as crime intelligence to run a certain project, they got recruited to kill Sindiso Makaka. So while they were busy with this mission of crime intelligence, which was successful, I must say, unfortunately, one of the criminals was killed, but that operation was successful because it was for heist, and that was successful. But the very same criminal that was part of this crime intelligence operation, he then participated in the murder of Sindiso Makaka. I think it was a quick cash. He already had the equipment to use it to carry out the task, and he did it. And that was an intended consequence of that project of intelligence.
I think I'm satisfied on that one. Somewhere in your statement, Shamas, you have said that at some stage you made a conclusion that Mokgotsi and Matlala were aware of the decision to disband the political killings task team prior. Can you elaborate on that? How did you become aware, and are you in possession of any evidence that corroborates with your assertion?
Honorable members, when the team was studying the communication from the cell phone of the arrested Mr. Matlala, that's where they picked up the communication between him and Mr. Brown, and the communication that has got to do with the close of the team, and the anticipation at the time that the dockets are going to be transferred to Jarasbia. So when we add the events that occurred thereafter, including the transfer of these dockets to Pretoria by the instruction of Jarasbia, we could only conclude that this, what is extract of the communication between Matlala and Mokgotsi, indicates that the two of them might have had something to do with the closure. Maybe from Matlala's side, might not be directly, because he was being frustrated and complaining to Brown Mokgotsi, and Brown Mokgotsi communicating with the chief of staff, communicating with the minister, saying the minister and Sibia must come out with a plan. He might have put pressure to the two to make sure that his friend Matlala is satisfied. That's why he was even saying on the communication, on WhatsApp communication, that he should just stand back and allow the process to unfold. And when this directive came, he was the one first to send that communication to Matlala to say, the team that came to harass you has been closed and the dockets are on the way to Sibia. So it's based on the analysis of that communication that was done by the team, of which records are available, that proves that the plan to shut down the team was not just done on the 31st. It's something that was crafted prior to that. Hence the communication that happened that quick.
Now, do you believe that Minister Senzo Mkhunu has a deep unethical relationship with Brown Mokgotsi and Matlala? And if so, does your belief only rely on his interactions or on the knowledge that they had for the disbandment of the political killings task team, or it also relies on other factors which are in your possession as a police officer, that may be some you cannot disclose before this committee at this stage?
Beg your pardon, honorable members, honorable chair. I can confirm that the relationship between Mokgotsi and the minister is unethical. Unethical in the sense that, for starters, the minister claimed when I appeared before the Portfolio Committee on the 5th of March 2025, he claimed that he did not know the fellow was talking about. It's been proven by the very same minister who says, no, that person is a comrade. I said, when you say comrade, I assume is a colleague in a political party. And this is a person who communicates with December, January, there's a January 8th gathering of that party in Cape Town. Mokgotsi is facilitating the guest of the minister for Matlala to pay for them to come and attend this thing. And they are here, SBI is here, everyone is here. They're having meetings in some hotels that we already know of, where they are sitting and having meetings and the likes during that period in January, beginning of this year. When you see then that these criminal activities that are happening, you see Mokgotsi in position of sensitive police material. And he speaks about the minister. He knows the diary, the calendar of the minister, that on this day he's on his way to Sikisiki. So it's a person that is quite knowledgeable. And if this person is not in government as a colleague to the minister, and this person is not in the political party of which his own political party disowned him recently, that he's never a member there. The records we have in our position is the role that this Mokgotsi was playing in the political campaign of the very same minister in the past. The communications that time when they were busy fighting for position back then, up to the conference of that political party, we have these records with us because it's an intelligence work that must do. The exchange of monies and the likes is available within intelligence. It's one of the things I was cautioning about that push these members to talk. They're going to release that information because it's there, it's available. And we don't want it to go out because it's a secret of the state that will cause fire. So Minister Mkhunu claiming that this man is a comrade, the political party concern says he's not a comrade. That means the conclusion we must draw is that this is not a comrade, it's a criminal. That the minister is invited to be part of the police. Minister lied when he said he's a comrade.
No, if you are saying general, we are in possession of evidence, then I'm satisfied. On the 5th of April 2025, you asked for a meeting with a minister, and you suggested that General Sbia, General Kumalo, General Ken, Mr. Nkabinde, and Mr. Brown Mokgotsi be part of that meeting. Now, when you were making this request, or before you make this request, did you make an investigation, maybe at a personal level or maybe in your official capacity, of who Brown Mokgotsi is and of what exactly, how is he exactly involved in the running of the SAPS?
The investigation, of course, when I became aware of this gentleman in as early as September, end of September in 2024, and confirmed by the chief of staff that he's a friend of the minister. And subsequent to that, and the team started uncovering the communication on the cell phone, which happened later in May, somewhere about this year. And when they started realizing that means this Brown Mokgotsi has got more role to play in policing matters than what we think of. If he did not expose himself to me in September last year, I would not have known about it. But he went quiet after that. When the team started picking up from the cell phone of Matlala about the communication that Brown Mokgotsi has on his phone, or what he's communicating with Matlala on, and we started realizing that this man is heavily involved in police matters. Therefore, we needed to start investigating as to who is he, and where does he come from? How do they know each other with the minister, and what role is plays? That's why we're able to go back into more than 5 years ago and get to know the relationship him and the minister has, and what is it they were busy with back then, and how they were participating in the political campaign, and all the way up until this day. So we had to dig deeper on Mokgotsi to know everything about it.
So if the minister can come and say he didn't respond adequately or appropriately to your messages because it was sent on WhatsApp, you did not use an email, how would you react to that? Would you think that would be a fair statement to make?
It would be an unfair statement to make. I believe we live in days where communication platforms differ. Perhaps the days when you were still young, you used to write letters through the post. And then the life of SMSs came, and the life of emails came, and the life of WhatsApp came. So he's the one who communicates on WhatsApp as well. He sends messages on WhatsApp telling me he's coming to the province, this and that. So it cannot be that when I ask him for a meeting, he's going to say send an email. So that would be wrong for the minister to say. I like to believe that maybe he's an educated man because he was a teacher. If he say he does not know about the official communication, I would begin to question about his knowledge about the communication platforms that exist nowadays.
And why did you suggest that Mr. Nkabinde? Because I believe that at the time he was just a chief of staff. Why did you suggest that he be part of the meeting?
It had come to my attention about his bad role that he's playing at the office of the minister. I said this was a policeman, that this was a member of IPIT as an investigator. This was never a politician. But when I started hearing about how he becomes so vocal in meetings of the minister, and in all these meetings, and I said to the ad hoc committee members that the Police Act provides for the establishment of the Civilian Secretariat of Police, a DG, and the functions of what the DG must do. But I don't even think the DG has been part of these meetings that the minister is having. His spokesperson or the people that are vocal in these meetings about the disbandment of the team is a chief of staff and the Deputy National Commissioner of Police. So when you hear that from the people that are part of the meetings, it becomes problematic. And what is worse, you get this information not even from the senior people, you get it from the junior people that are part of the meeting. And they are shocked because what they don't know is that when people are in meetings, they're recording meetings. And they have records of such. So when you hear of this behavior and you start realizing, so all the time, this chief of staff has been acting as if he's a good man and yet he's not. So let me get him into this meeting as well so I can tell him what he's doing wrong. I wanted to present to the minister how bad the same person he has in his office, how bad the person that he calls comrade about the advice that he gives them, how bad is the Deputy National Commissioner Spear that works with him all the time, so that he can decide whether he wants to keep these people close to him or he wants to distance himself from them. I warned the current acting meeting minister about the chief of staff the first day we met. I told him that this man is a bad man. He asked me why, I explained to him. But he kept him in the office until he went to Madlanga Commission and suddenly he was removed from the office. So I'm not a person who hides things. I tell it straight and you make a decision as an executive authority. If you want to take the advice, you take. If you don't want to take it, you'll have to suffer the consequences.
Unfortunately, Chamas, the chairperson has made an indication that I've run out of time. Chair, I will reserve my outstanding questions for the next session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. No, angale lana Mkwanazi ngithunywa abantu base South Africa bathi angibabongele ekuthenini ume ube indoda ubamele umele iqiniso. So angudlulisa ngoba bona bakhona ukufika la yona into abangithume yona. Indoda eyama ke Mkwanazi ngesikhathi thizeni phambilini yamela ukuvimba ukuthi abafuna ukulawula izwe through abaphathi abaphethe ama-debate.
Honorable Showe, if you may please get closer to
Is it far?
to the microphone, I can see the members at the extreme.
Okay,
Yeah.
am I audible? Okay. Yeah, I hope my time has not started. Thank you very much. That's 10 minutes, right? Thank you very much. Nkosi,
Donation.
indoda eyama yamela ukuvimba ukuthi lezi gelekece ifuna ukuthatha izwe ziliphathe through abaphathi bama divisions. Yayithola isenkingeni yokuthi ke igijinyiswe ikhulunywe kabi ngayo. Sekuze kuna 2 decades manje 20 years iqala lisekhotha liphele. Umbuzo wami uthi yini eyenze wena wabona kufanele uthathe impilo yakho uyifake ebunzimeni obungaka nasengozini engaka. Uthathe ngisho neyomndeni wakho uphinde uyifake lapho. Uphushwe yini ukuthi uthathe lesi sinqumo?
Mhlonishwa, inkinga lokho besibhekene nako. Okungiphazamisa kakhulu ukuthi lobugebengu ekade sibona benzeka lobufuna ukwenzeka. Abantu befuna ukuthatha izwe ngobugebengu. Kubugebengu obuzolimaza izingane zethu. Ngoba izidakamizwa lezi abasebenza ngazo. Angisho ukuthi uma bekade kubugebengu obungahlanganisi nezidakamizwa besokubekezelela bese ngeke sikubekezelele kwabona. Kodwa lokhu kuhlangene nezidakamizwa. Ngicabanga ukuthi iningi lomphakathi wale South Africa liyazi ukuthi uma unesihlobo owazana naso noma inengane oyizalayo esekuyaqala yadla idakamizwa. Seyimoshakele ngeke usakwazi ukuyilungisa. Abantu abaningi ke bahlukumezwe lezi dakamizwa. Ingakho ke siwumphakathi sisonke kumele sizimisele sihlangane sibumbane ukuze silwisane nalesihlava. Lokho kungenza ukuthi ngiphakameke ukuthi ngikhulume lolu daba. Ingoba ngibona ukuthi uma ngiliyeka ukukhuluma umndeni wami ukhona nje umshana wami odla idakamizwa ngikhuluma nawo. Eziqhamuka ngabo labantu. Uma abaphathi bezwe bezovumela lezi gebengu ukuthi ziqhubeke nokuthengisela izingane zethu lezi dakamizwa zize nazo zilethela South Africa zizakhe la South Africa okushuthi kahle izwe leli lizobe lifile so thi silele emathuneni thina sibe sishiya izingane zethu zihlupheke so ngaleso sizathu ngiyabona ukuthi kumele ukuthi sikhulume manje ukuze sikwazi ukulungisa izwe ukuya phambili. Lokho kuncane umuntu angakwazi ukwenza njengoba ethunywe enikeza umsebenzi ukuthi avikele izwe. Kumele ukuthi sikwenze. Ngisho kuthiwa kuyingozi thina. Ngoba ubungozi vele into umuntu aloka eqala engena emaphoyiseni. Ukuthi iphoyisa amaqhuma isibhamu ngala abantu bebaleka bayale iphoyisa afuneka liqonde laqhuma khona isibhamu. Kumele lisinikele ngalokho. Lokho engikwenzile kuyafana ke nalokho ukuthi ngiyazinikela ukuthi ukuze umphakathi uvikeleke. Kumele thina esinikeza umsebenzi ukuthi sivikele umphakathi kube yithina esizinikelayo kuqala. Ngicabanga ukuthi leyo kuphela nje into engayifika ukuthi engigqugquzela ukuthi ngikwenze lo engikwenzile.
Ngiyabonga.
Honorable Shongwe and the General, I want to make a request to yourselves that we involve the whole of the Republic in our conversation. Because those are the people we represent here. The languages that we use are permissible by law. There is nothing wrong speaking in your mother tongue. I have been brought to the attention that we don't have translation services. I mean, interpreting services here. So you can imagine the vastness of the Republic. Even if we have ourselves here, but we want somebody who is in Musina or somebody in Springbok, because these are matters of national interest. So I just want to request you that I can't restrict you from using any language, but we can at least have a fair balance so that, especially ourselves as members of parliament, we represent the people of this republic and they want to hear us, all of them. I think it's a fair statement to make. You disagree, Honorable Sangon and Honorable Chief Whip. What is your disagreement? Honorable Sangon.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Yes, we disagree with you vehemently, Chair. The one thing that perhaps we can agree with you on is the fact that the translation services inside the House are not working. But this parliament is built on the principle of inclusivity, which allows the use of any of the official languages of this country, including isiZulu, Setsonga, sign language, and so forth. Now, when we are taking it for granted that when we speak in English, all South Africans understand, then we have made a fundamental mistake. And we are at this point elevating the English above any of our other languages. So I think that Honorable Shongwe and and General Mkwanazi should be allowed to express themselves in any language they wish to. There are media houses who are sharing this information. They can translate where there's a need to translate. Please, Chairperson, thank you.
Chief Whip.
Chair, I think our committee whip has covered it. Just one point. Because we've got 12 official languages in the Republic of South Africa, it's inevitable that any language you use in any setting will exclude other South Africans. Since we've been running the proceedings in English, I can tell you that there are many South Africans who can understand what we're talking about. Now, the point that we who are here must be assisted to understand one another is fair. But to demand that people can converse in any of the official languages because we may exclude South Africans, already they've been excluded since we started. There are people who can understand English, but who are deeply interested in what we're doing. So I think, Chair, we let's be assisted internally, but I think for South Africans, it is inevitable. We've been excluding them already in our proceedings. Thanks.
Honorable Souls.
Chair, apart from the fact that Khoisan languages must also become official languages in this country, I would like to request, I do agree with the previous speakers, but I'd like to request for my sake, and I think there's others here too, to follow the proceedings for there to be translation for us, please. May I speak for myself, that there is translation for myself after the General has responded, that someone translates for us. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, before you start my time, do you want to speak, Chair?
Yes, you can speak.
Before you start my time, I just want to talk on that point.
Yeah.
Chair, it is because of such negligence of our work in Parliament that as a committee of police, General Mkwanazi is saying the Parliament did nothing on the 5th. It's because the Chair didn't do anything, didn't do umsebenzi wakhe, not all of us. So I'm just going to protect you, Chair, by saying...
Let's talk to the point of...
yeah, this is the point, Chair. Exactly the point, Chair, when I say, abantu abangenzi umsebenzi wabo cannot fault us kulezo zinto lezo. So our translators, whoever is in charge of translators, should have brought in our translators so that they can translate. We've got this, Chair, to put in our ears so that if we don't hear, we can understand the other language. But you are fairly saying this and nicely saying it and asking. I'll try my best. But I'll try my best, Chair.
I'm not compelling, honorable members. And that is why I said, where I'm sitting, I recognize that we speak diverse languages. But at least if there can be a fair balance. And I'm not saying anybody must not use, I'm not saying nobody must use any language that they are comfortable using. And I want to also make you aware that we have time allocation here. And it's not that some of the constraints we do not understand. If Honorable Souls comes here and say, I'm now speaking in Khoisan, and we come and say, but there is no translation services for Khoisan, we may run into difficulties, and I don't want us to go into those difficulties. I have been using the word reasonably in most cases so that all of us understand that let's exercise reasonableness where we experience constraints. Let's exercise and don't use those constraints as an excuse not to do certain things. The languages, nobody can get into that debate. African languages have to be promoted like any other language that is spoken in this country. And our languages are the ones that affirm our identity and pride and cultural heritage. It's not something that we should debate. I very much agree with what honorable members are saying, but can we please exercise reasonableness? Thank you so much. You can now proceed.
Mayor Kenza, Chair.
You had used 3 minutes of your time.
Huh?
Yes, you had used 3 minutes, and that excludes the responses that the general.
I have a time, Chair, here. I have only used 1 minute.
You have 7 minutes now to conclude your.
You can revert, Chair.
To conclude your task.
Take an answer, Chair, to show you I have used only 1 minute. All right, no problem. I'll respect you, Chair. Thank you, Nkalenkos. Nkalenkos, baphinde bangithuma ke South Africa futhi. Bathi angibabongele kwinsizwa ezigadile. But baphinde bathi angibuza ukuthi how safe is the PKTT currently?
Honorable Chair members, on the PKTT, I'm not worrying much. I worry a lot about the team in Gauteng. The counterintelligence investigation operations that is taking place in Gauteng, I worry about their safety. Why do I say that? Because they were put in a safe house to operate from. The member of this house, together with others, they publish the photos of that house in the media. So therefore, their working place is compromised. The members that are operating the driving vehicles, those vehicles have been exposed in public. And I believe in some degree, maybe even the names of the members might be known. And their safety for me is a concern. The safety of the members that are working in Gauteng, they can't go home. If they go home, they go with the entire delegation of police officers protecting them. So their life is disrupted, and their families, I don't think they are protected either. So it is that group in Gauteng. I spoke about 2 sergeants yesterday. There are other junior members that have joined in that are working with them now because the team has grown bigger. Together with the 10 that came from KZN. So it's quite a lot of them that are part of that operation. It's those members that I worry more than I worry about the PKTT, because PKTT is in KZN. Yeah, well, at least they have me and the rest of men and women employed in KZN. They should be safe. I cannot guarantee the Gauteng team the same.
Who's in charge of the Gauteng one, and what has he done?
The Gauteng one is Gerald Kumalo that is currently arrested. The one is told he must not enter premises of intelligence.
So currently nobody is in charge of them?
Well, I think the members are trying to operate from wherever they're operating from, because they have been compromised wherever they want to work. Now, within crime intelligence, they cannot operate because what they are trying to deal with involves members within crime intelligence, and the boss of crime intelligence was told by court not to enter the premises, so that they become vulnerable, those members. So
if I may interject, the member you speak about who was taking out photos and stuff like that, are you able to tell us the name? Who's that member? Because I think that's the worst the member can do. and put.
Yeah, well, the member of this parliament, Ms. Korabana, published the photos of the house. Some of the properties as members are working from in her media statement that she issued. I'll reference to it if I see it here, but it's in the public domain, it's known, and she published that. So here's the address, here's the house, and here is this, here's that. They got that information from members within intelligence that were against the work that the team is doing, and they took it out there to the media. So, and that compromised the operations. That's why I'm saying that I worry more about the Gauteng team than I will about the PKTT. I think PKTT in KZN, they operate in a place where they've got men and women that knows how to fight the enemy that are surrounding them. So they're quite okay in KZN. But the Gauteng counterintelligence team, I cannot say the same about them.
Okay, I've served under you, under SAPS when I was still working them. So I don't know this part, if I'll be wrong or right. Would what the member done be criminally? Be classified as criminal to take out information of safe houses?
Yeah, no, definitely that's a criminal offense. And I do hope that the authorities that are responsible for it, they're going to assist us in making sure such is investigated. I call for an investigation by state security on these leakages of information to the media, amongst of the things that I spoke about yesterday, for specific journalists that keep writing about these things, including the members of this parliament and members within crime intelligence, as well as the Inspector General of Intelligence.
Do you have any proof or evidence of this DA member called Bernard who took out the photos of such?
Well, I don't know who took the photos, but I know that she participated in the circulation of the photos of these residents and addresses in a question that she had asked in Parliament, which I made a reference to when I presented yesterday.
General, let me leave that one because this time is not. The first thing the president of this country, Babu Ramaphosa, does is to take intelligence into his office. Now you come and say, you said crime intelligence listens to our conversation, then will blackmail and capture members. And for me, that's the biggest threat to our democracy because it means MPs that are vocal about issues that are going to be blackmailed, and that won't happen. That won't help me towards a good government. So my question is, what's your take on intelligence being under the office of the president? One. The office, or do you think that would allow the officers to be able to investigate him or those associates of the president? And wouldn't that give him power to manipulate those who go against him?
Honorable Chair, honorable members, I'm an official within the South African Police Service. I don't work within intelligence structure. Therefore, I cannot comment about the working arrangements of the state security at the office of the president. I know for a fact that when the state security was having their own minister back in the days, and they were not reporting to the office of the president back then, there were wrong things that were happening within intelligence, state security specific. There was even theft of money within the facility. So there were a lot of wrong that was happening there at state security, and that was happening, whereas that same entity was not reporting to the president. So whether they are within the presidency or they're outside the presidency, it doesn't seem to make any difference. If they are bad outside, they will be bad inside. I cannot see the difference between them because, yeah, I'm privy to some things that were happening there. Because, yeah, let me not go further on it because we'll end up saying things that I shouldn't be talking about here. But
no,
no, well, we'll leave it here. Some of us have got gray hair already because we've seen a lot. You've heard a lot. The privilege I have is that in many other parts of the security cluster, there are men and women that felt that it's important for them to share information with me. They've been sharing information with me from back then, and they're still sharing information with me now. And I know evidence. And I think the good thing they did was to make sure that they make use of people that are close to me to work in those environments, so that I'm privy to such information. So that's what I'm saying. Some of things don't belong to this place. It belongs to the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence. If they were to invite me one day, I'll share things with them that I don't think they'll be ready to hear themselves.
In your proposals last night, you mentioned certain things that you wish in the subs they should be changed or change that can be used lapaya. So I want to ask this question, Uguti. In your own general knowledge, would you think it is safe for our state intelligence to remain in the office of the president? And would that not hinder or delay certain investigations that might be against the president, that might be against his friends and close associates? I want to repeat that question because I want your own thinking. Is it safe? I've never seen it in the world where intelligence is in the office of the president, and I don't know why. But I feel that alone hampers some MPs might not be able to be vocal about certain things. So what's your take on that? And if you even said if you were sitting here, Advocate Johnson sitting on that side, you'll be able to question him to give us some answers. So I'm asking you, in this same position, would you be able to tell us or South Africa, is that a proper way of doing things, or would you prefer it being done like that? And at the same time, doesn't that give power to politicians, where intelligence resides in the office of a politician, a senior politician of the country, who has 10 years in the office? When he exits, how safe is the country? Thank you.
Honorable Chair members, I don't want to go deeper into discussing the structure of government because I'm not a leader in government. I'm not elected to be there. I'm not appointed to be in that position. So expressing my opinion as a citizen is one thing, but I'm sitting here to come and account about what transpired in July and what we're dealing with as a police. So I said earlier, I know that intelligence at one stage, when at least I was involved with the police management at the time as acting national commissioner, the intelligence was not falling under the office of the president. It was standing independently somewhere. But there were bad things happening there at the very same intelligence, while it is not at the office of the president. So I don't see then why it will be different now. That now it's in the office of the president, it is exposed to be doing wrong. If it's outside the office, it's not. But I have evidence that it was wrong then. They were doing wrong at the time, whilst they were outside the office of the president. So what will stop them not to do now? If you take it back and they go outside the office of the president, what difference is it going to make? When people are dirty, they are dirty, regardless of where they're working. So perhaps the parliament might want to look at whether is any risk associated with that and any evidence that can be produced to support that, and then make recommendations through the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence and through the class and the president in order to restructure that if need be. But for me, as Jerome Mkwanazi sitting here, I can comment about the positioning of crime intelligence because it's within my space. But to comment about intelligence community as SSA department, they are independent away from me. I don't know how they operate. I'm not part of them. So for me to comment on it, it will be wrong. So I wouldn't want to get into that. Invite me to talk about crime intelligence and make my proposals about it. Maybe I can. I made some yesterday about how they must account and so forth. And part of what I might recommend of crime intelligence, they shouldn't report to a deputy national commissioner because that post constitutionally doesn't even have to be there. So the head of crime intelligence is supposed to report to the national commissioner and to the Joint Standing Committee in Parliament, and account here and Inspector General of Intelligence, and of course the security or the intelligence structure that is established at NECOC and the likes. This presence of a deputy national commissioner post create this problem. where Jarosbia then want to intervene. And the Joint Standing Committee invite Jarosbia to come and present issues of intelligence, and yet he's not a commander of intelligence. So it's part of the deficiencies that we have to correct.
One last question. How do we breed police who will stand firm for the country like you did? And how do you protect them from being killed after they have done so well, like a PKTT, which is overlooked when it comes to being recognized or rewarded?
Yeah, that's a difficult question. I think because of the members of government or members of parliament and all the leaders of our society that must do something to make sure that there's an employment out there, that the youth go to university and study and they get opportunity to go and work. And by so doing, they'll do what they're passionate about. But we find of late, most recent advertisement, we're looking for 5,000 police officers. We have more than 1 million applications. And more than 50% of those are graduates. They all want to be police officers. They don't have it in their heart to chase criminals. They don't have it in their heart to lay their lives before the citizens to protect them. About them is job. They have to get employment. So they're applying to join the police not because they want to protect and serve. They're joining the police because it is a career for them that they want to pursue. They're unemployed, they're sitting at home. So if you were to ask me about the police officers that are committed to do the job, there are many of them. But unfortunately, I cannot thumbs up now and give the percentage of the total workforce. How many of them are actually dedicated? How many of them are not? We have 3 categories of employees that we have. We have those that want to lay their lives. And the majority of those that want to lay their life, they listen to the guidances that you give them as a police in terms of equipping themselves with regard to survival tactics, because we teach them those things. And they practice that. They stay fit, they stay healthy, and they stay sharp all the time. They don't go into dangerous situations alone without inviting their colleagues to accompany them. So those are the good ones that really do what we try to help them to do. And there's limitation on what government can do to protect the protector. The protector is supposed to protect the citizens. So therefore, the protector must be equipped with resources, physical and skills and the likes, to allow that person to protect himself or herself. So we have that group that is there, that we must continue affording the opportunity to be reskilled so that they learn the tricks and techniques that are going to help them to survive. But then we have the group that is lazy in the middle. That missing group in the middle who doesn't want to work, who just enjoys the salary at the end of the month. Something needs to be done about them. That's why performance management and the likes that needs to be reviewed, because there's quite a lot of them that are somewhere in the middle. They are not acting because some of them are lazy, but some of them are not acting because they're afraid of the consequences of acting against criminals. They end up not doing anything. So we have to deal with that group. But then we have the rogue squad on the side, the criminals within the system, few of them. But I believe that our labor laws that deals with the punishment of those, it's allowing them to stay within the organization despite all the evidence that might be presented to get them out. Technicalities, you dismiss a person who was involved with robbery, caught red-handed, arrested, and then it is dismissed in the organization, and he makes an appeal through the council. And on technical grounds, some of the technical ground is because there was no one representing the state who came to argue the case. Therefore, a default judgment is given. You are forced to reinstate that person back into the organization. It's the labor law that allows that to happen. So it does not take away that he's a criminal. So he's reinstated back into the service because the system allows it. Then you see it with the person that is already been found or arrested for serious crime, but he still wears the uniform with you. And that's what we need to try and fix. So you have that rogue squad that I wouldn't worry about their safety. We have this missing group in the middle that I shouldn't worry much about their safety. But we have the hardworking cops, as we're talking about. We need to provide them with resources, physical, to help them to stay safe. We have to provide them with different skills that should allow them. And as you are saying, motivation is key. The reward system that we have perhaps might need some adjustment. Yes, we do have, but it might need to perhaps to be readjusted so that it benefits the majority instead of the few. Yes, we are going to reward a person. For instance, let me use an example that we always do. We'll give a vehicle to a top police officer that we have, but the vehicle costs R500,000. But you have more than 10 or 20 police officers who are actually doing exceptional work. But you don't have means to reward all of them, you reward one. But you can take that vehicle and sell it and spread that money and give it to all of them and buy them things that can benefit the majority. But because of limitation as an organization on these rewards, the system of government doesn't allow us to take your money, taxpayers' money, to reward members like that. So therefore, we have to go and look for sponsors somewhere. And when you get a sponsor, there's condition that you can't take money from outside. You have to get, so there is those limitations that makes it impossible to reward everyone. Again, the promotion system we have in the police, it's not about what you've done and how good you are. It's about how you perform before the panel. You arrive before the panel, you exceptionally well, you tick all the boxes, you get appointed, and yet you are lazy. You get the rank, you go outside, you don't deliver. But how can the panel not appoint you? Because if you're not appointed, you reach a grievance and you say, I perform better than this one. I've got this qualification and that qualification before that one. A hard-working horse usually does not have time to study. A real police officer, it runs around with a dog, chasing criminals out there. He is on the boots and overall every single day getting dirty, search for dead bodies under the water and do all the dirty things. Whereas the one who sits in the desk has got time to register the university and research and post get advertised, he can see the computer, can apply. That one doesn't even see the computer. He end up not applying, he end up not getting motivated because he doesn't get promoted. Then you have someone who's a desktop person who then become a commander of this one. And then he demoralizes the member. So it's a system within the organization that we might need to look at. And unfortunately, because we are centralized at the national level, we can come up with a proposal, it won't change the policy of the organization. But if it's decentralized, this thing in the province, maybe with the provincial management, we must start saying, how can we best motivate these members that we have? You might come with a reward system that involves the provincial government that may be in a better benefiting of the members that you have in the organization. So it's different approaches that we might want to employ.
I think I would be correct if I say we both agree that what we need to look at is the constitution of the country, that somewhere it has problems. ANC, I'm a victim. So young victimize, anything I'm a victim, young victimize. Sorry, it's low. So would I be wrong if, would I be correct if the constitution has flaws? Because the Minister of Home Affairs comes out and says there was a whistleblower who was shot twice, and that whistleblower is still alive, unlike the lady who was killed for it at Tembisa. And the murderers or the suspects are still out with the Lamborghinis. And it's the same law that takes those people out. They are not even arrested. The people you've mentioned that have done wrong, together with the minister, are not in jail. None of them is not in jail. Do you think it's the constitution that hinders us to deliver?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say it's a constitution. It's the legislations that have been written and passed through this parliament sometimes that contribute to such. Not necessarily the constitution per se. The Criminal Procedure Act, how you facilitate an arrest of a person. Back in the days, we could listen to your phone without asking your permission. You came up with the legislation, they said we cannot do that. We must apply to a judge. The judge is not appointed, and then we sit and wait until the judge is appointed one day before you can listen to the phones. The judge is appointed, then we can listen to the phones. We arrest the criminal with the phone in his hand. And we want to take the phone and download the phone. You pass a legislation that says, Cyber Act, you can't open this phone without getting a consent from the person. So we ask a person, can you open the phone? He says no. Then you're doomed as a police. Then you must start the whole lengthy process again. So the legislation is passed to try and protect the citizens. But the unintended consequences of that protection leads into criminality. So we have to balance the two at times. Not to say what the legislation is saying is wrong, but we must also look at what is an unintended consequence of this legislation. And then you value, you balance the two and say which one weighs the most. I said earlier, if you want to prioritize the human rights of a person, whether is not arrested, whether is arrested, definitely the rights of the person that has been found guilty and is incarcerated must be totally different than a person who's walking on the street. But what we find happening is that there is more rights for those in prison than you have for the person on the street. And I want to challenge you to look at your budget expenditure for the people in custody per day cost of an inmate versus what the grant you are giving to a person who's a law-abiding citizen outside the month. 350 versus 350 a month versus a 500 rands a day. That's how the scale is like. So come to prison, you're going to get education for free, you're going to get free food, you're going to have shelter, you don't run out of water and so forth. Go outside of prison, you live in a shack. You must rob someone to have bread to eat at night. That's a reality that we find in this country. So the legislation must really, legislators yourself, we plead that you must please look at these things so that when we recruit in the police, we must recruit people who want to protect themselves, not the career people that they can't find jobs somewhere else and they come to the police as a job opportunity that is created.
Thank you, Honorable Shong. At the time you started with your questions, your party had exhausted 35 minutes of your 40. But due to the reasonableness and benevolence of the chairperson, I still allowed you to.
Chair, Honorable Khosetiko, uyahlela and that.
So that I'm saying this because I want other honorable members who are still going to speak to understand that you benefited, not unduly, but from the benevolence of the chairperson. So if such benefits accrue to them, it must be our understanding, all of us. Honorable members, under normal circumstances, any candidate will sit for an examination for 3 hours. Since we started questioning at 27 minutes past 9, it's now almost 20 minutes to 1. It means it's 3 hours, 13 minutes. And I'm going to plead with you that, okay, before I make the announcement, let me recognize the presence of the following members of Parliament in our midst. We have Honorable Pambo, Honorable Tambo from the EFF, Honorable Ghana from Rice Msansi, and Honorable Mutaung from the MKP. I saw Honorable Adams. He has been in and out from the Colored People's Congress. I just felt I must take this opportunity because in the morning when we started, I recognized the honorable members who are the members of the committee and called them by names to confirm their presence. So it's also befitting that your presence is recognized here. Thank you so much for your presence. When we come back, we are going to, because I want to avoid a situation where we have a marathon like this, asking one witness questions for a time spanning 3 hours. When we come back, we are going to take the Democratic Alliance and the EFF, and then we will have a comfort break, and then come back and take the IFP, the Patriotic Alliance, the Freedom Front Plus and Action SA, and then have a comfort break. That is, so I'm making this announcement so that honorable members, we can from time to time remind each other if the chair misses that out, to say, no, chair, you said after the EFF, we'll have a comfort break, and then we'll have a comfort break after Action SA. That will be the order of proceedings when we come back. And my apologies, General, we should have broken after 2 hours to give you a break. But let me thank you for your endurance. We are breaking for lunch now. We will come back at 1:30. Thank you so much. Yes, 1:30.